Chapter 1555. The heavenly demonic wraith faced hundreds of millions of cultivators without fear. His heaven-annihilating palm was enough to crush them all. Even though everyone had worked together to break through his attack, the difference in strength between the two sides was enough to make them feel the pressure on the defending side. The heavenly demonic wraith laughed coldly. As expected of a bunch of ants. "I'm just warming up, and you're already in such a sorry state. How boring. I'd like to see how long you can last." Heavenly Tao Sovereign Skill, Heavenly Sword Tao. As soon as he finished speaking, a 1,000-meter-long giant sword condensed in the sky and descended rapidly from 10,000 meters in the sky. Even the air close to the giant sword seemed to be torn apart by the sword. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth churned, scattered, and burned. Flames lit up the sky. A mere 10 directions formation can block my sword. The heavenly demonic wraith stood proudly in the sky, looking down on everyone like a divine king. What a powerful sword Tao! Sword God Wui's eyes widened, and then a trace of determination flashed through his eyes. "Everyone, this sword energy is ferocious. Please lend me a hand." The 10 ancient gods immediately transferred their spiritual energy to Sword God's body, and his internal injuries were instantly healed. Sword God's body shone brightly, and the 13 swords merged into one, transforming into a rainbow-colored sword of light. 13 heavenly crystal swords, fight with me. Sword God roared, and his entire body merged with the 13 heavenly crystal swords, transforming into a rainbow-colored streak of light that shot into the sky. Heavenly Tao Sovereign Skill, Sword Tao Clash. The two streaks of sword energy collided in the sky, and the powerful impact instantly swept across the entire world, shaking the entire earth. Huge waves rose on the ocean thousands of kilometers away, and countless snowy mountains collapsed. The ground cracked, and houses collapsed. This was a battle that took place in the sky, and the ground was protected by the 10 directions heavenly armor formation. Just the shock waves from this collision almost destroyed Earth. However, what people were concerned about wasn't the disaster brought about by the shock waves. In the sky, Sword God Wui shot back like a cannonball, and the 10 ancient gods all spat out blood. The primordial fiend god saw that Sword God had lost control of his body, and he hurriedly adjusted his internal energy, transforming into a giant hand to dissipate the remaining energy. Even so, the primordial fiend god's palm had to retreat close to 1,000 meters before it dissipated the remaining energy on Sword God's body. The Sword God spat out several mouthfuls of blood as he looked at the heavenly demonic fiend in shock. "Oh. So strong, he might not be stronger than me in the way of the sword, but in terms of spiritual power, the spiritual power of the heavenly demonic fiend is too terrifying." In terms of comprehension, the 10 ancient gods weren't any weaker than the heavenly demonic spectre. In some aspects, they were even stronger than the heavenly demonic spectre. However, the Jiutian had been developing for an unknown period of time, and the heavenly demonic spectre had been crazily absorbing spiritual energy. In this aspect, even the ancient gods couldn't compare. With just one strike, the 10 strongest ancient gods of the defending army were unexpectedly injured at the same time. Most importantly, they were no longer in their peak condition after consuming a large amount of spiritual energy. Then, he looked at the heaven-piercing Devil Emperor. His expression was calm, and he seemed to be getting braver as the battle went on. What 10 ancient gods? They're just some old antiques. The heavenly demonic fiend raised his chin slightly and looked down at everyone. Don't the 10 of you like to trap me? Let's see what ability you have to stop me. So what if you have more people? Even the 10 great ancient gods aren't my match. I can kill all the remaining people with one move. Countless earthlings looked at the figure in the sky, their hearts filled with grief. This is the strength of the 9th heaven, it's too terrifying. This guy is simply undefeatable. Even those gods aren't his match. Who else can save us? The 9th heaven domain, 1 heaven domain, 1 heaven domain, 1 heaven domain, one heaven domain. The difference in strength between the ninth heaven and the eighth heaven is like the difference between heaven and earth. The ninth heaven, that's right, there's another person in the ninth heaven. It was unknown who said this. Everyone thought of that person. Other than the heavenly demonic fiend, he was the only man who had entered the ninth heaven. However, when they thought of him, they also thought of his origin. Jack Allen. The last time the immortals of the seventh heaven had invaded, he had returned to Earth early and made arrangements in advance. With his own strength, he had blocked the Jyotian immortals. However, this time, the heavenly demonic fiend was about to start a massacre, but he hadn't appeared yet. This meant that, he wouldn't come. At the same time, in the center of the 10 directions heavenly armor array, the immortals were rapidly building an altar. Goddess Nuwa looked at Lu Yi beside her and said, "Lu Yi, if your brother doesn't come back, then this altar might be useless." Lu Yi seemed to be in a daze. When she came back to her senses, she was in a hurry. Goddess Nuwa, what did you just say?" I didn't hear it." Goddess Nuwa looked at Lu Yi. "This child should be very nervous." "I said, if Lu Chen doesn't come back, then our preparations will be meaningless, and you don't need to." Thinking of Lu Yi's fate, Goddess Nuwa couldn't bear to continue. Lu Yi looked at the altar in a daze and said faintly, "Goddess Nuwa, I hope that my brother can come back, but I'm also afraid that he will come back. I've always wanted to tell him that no matter what race he is, he will always be my brother. But the heavenly demonic fiend is too strong, I'm worried about him." As she spoke, Lu Yi's eyes were already wet. Mother Nuwa let out a sigh. "I understand." At that moment, the heavenly demonic fiend had heavily injured the 10 ancient gods and was in high spirits. He used the apocalyptic sword rain, and countless swords rained down. According to Jyotian, this was an AoE skill. The specialty of AoE skills was that they had a wide range, but their individual damage was weak. However, such an AoE skill was simply a disaster when used by the heavenly demonic fiend. The gods and immortals already had to use all their strength to deal with 1 or 2 swords. The ancient gods with weak spiritual energy could only barely block a small area. Even more swords rained down on the 10 sides heavenly armor array. 9 nether, block more. Otherwise, who knows how many people will be injured. Pangu roared angrily and used Genesis Splitter to disperse the sword rain. "Do I need you to teach me?" 9 nether was not to be outdone. Unfortunately, they were only ancient gods who had transmigrated, and their strength was greatly reduced. Dozens of ancient gods who had lost control were unable to completely block the apocalyptic sword rain. In an instant, a large amount of sword chi rained down on the 10 sides heavenly armor array. In an instant, the countless immortals, cultivators, and earthlings supporting the array were injured by the terrifying attack. Looking from midair, wherever the sword rain went, there was a mist of blood. Knowing this, earthlings could truly feel the terrifying attack power of the heavenly demonic fiend. Under the weakening of the defensive array, millions of people were directly knocked unconscious, and it was unknown whether they were dead or alive. How terrifying! It's over, it's all over. This time, Earth is really finished. The great wall of iron and blood stared at the figure in the sky, his eyes full of despair. Unfortunately, the mad god is no longer the mad god of the past. Otherwise, he would never watch Earth perish. Li Muhua was seriously injured and fell to the ground, unable to move. Unfortunately, there were too many people around who were seriously injured like him, and no one had the time to treat him. Of course, if Earth was going to be destroyed, it did not matter whether he was treated or not. Li Muhua looked at the sky helplessly. The first thing that came to his mind was that guy. "Chen, I'm dying. I don't blame you for not coming back this time. It's a pity that in the few years after I found out about your background, you never came back even once. I didn't even have the chance to talk to you again. It's your fault for rising so high, brat." Well, it seems that I won't have the chance in this lifetime. Actually, I really want to tell you that no matter if you're a jackallen or a human, you're still my good brother. Being able to meet you in this lifetime is the proudest thing for me, Li Muhua. Good brother, live well. Chapter 1556. The 10 ancient gods had been entangled with the heavenly demonic fiend for a long time, but even they could not block the attacks of the heavenly demonic fiend. Every time the heavenly demonic fiend used a group attack, a large number of cultivators who provided spiritual energy for the 10 sides heavenly armor formation died. Heavenly Tao sovereign skill, myriad tool destruction. The heavenly demonic fiend emperor roared. At this time, the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. The elements in the sky were changing wildly. Wind, fire, ice, lightning, and other elements were fusing together. Finally, the elements fused into an endless black fog that pressed down. This sky actually fused with the chaos. The primordial god and Buddha looked at the black fog in shock. Prajna formless palm. Quickly block the myriad tool destruction. The 10 ancient gods, the ancient god of transmigration, the gods, and the immortals all attacked together. Countless skills blasted toward the black fog. However, even if they worked together, they still had their own strengths. The various skills could not be stacked. Millions of skills blasted toward the sky, but they still could not block the myriad tool destruction. In an instant, the ancient gods were seriously injured. The 10 sides heavenly armor formation collapsed instantly. Blood mist spread out on the ground. Countless cultivators' spiritual cores were damaged and could not get up. Ha ha ha, you want to stop me? What a joke. I have already said that you are all ants in my eyes. The heavenly demonic fiend laughed wildly. I want to bring destruction to all the worlds. Now, I will destroy this world. First, I will kill all of you. Come, let me see the strength of these new servants I have recruited. Heavenly Tao sovereign skill, chaos divine soldiers. With a command, the heavenly demonic fiend emperor summoned millions of divine soldiers. These divine soldiers were completely black, like shadows. However, if one looked closely, they would realize that these divine soldiers were the creatures that came out of the heavenly gate. But now, their eyes were dull and their bodies were completely black. Seeing the divine soldiers in the sky, everyone was in despair. The heavenly demonic fiend emperor's strength was terrifying and could be said to be unsurpassable. But he could still summon so many heavenly gate creatures. It's over, we can't stop them. The sword god of Wuxia held his chest. He had already tried his best, but he could not stop the heavenly demonic fiend emperor. So, this is the strength of the 9th heaven. No wonder we are not qualified to enter the 8th level. Kongu's eyes were hollow and then he smiled in despair. I, Kongu, have cultivated for thousands of years. I have cut my way through so many obstacles. I have abandoned so much and lost so much. However, in the end, I am still a frog at the bottom of the well. Damn it, how can this heavenly devil fiend be so strong? Pangu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, even my true body is no match for him. Nine Nether said, if you hadn't killed me back then, would be even stronger than him now. Cut the crap. You're no better than him. What's the point of saying all this now? Everyone is doomed. The 10 sides heavenly armor formation had been destroyed, the ancient gods had been defeated, and the immortals of the master gods were far from being a match for the heavenly devilish wraith. At this moment, the powerful creatures within the million heaven gate rushed down from the sky. Li Shan closed his eyes and painfully said, in the end, we still couldn't escape the fate of destruction. If Chinna was still here. At that moment, an unknown earthling shouted at the top of his lungs. Please save us. It doesn't matter if you are from the jackal race or the human race, you are the Earth's god of war. You are the Earth's guardian god. Even if he didn't mention that name, everyone knew who he was talking about. More and more people began to call out to that jackalen. From the first heaven to the ninth heaven, you are a solipsistic. Jackalen or human, you are a solipsistic. You once protected Earth, once fought for the entire human race, once fought for the Jyotian race. You are not the Earth War God, you are the Jyotian War God. Lu Chen, did you hear that? Please save us. Jyotian War God. Jyotian War God. Jyotian War God. Pangan narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the people who were shouting that name like they were possessed. There were earthlings, humans, and 10,000 races. There were cultivators, immortals of 10,000 races, and gods of the heavens. Everyone was calling out to the Jyotian War God. Pangu took a deep breath and exhaled, "Stinking brat, did you hear that? They are all calling out to you. This time, they are not praying for the gods to descend, nor are they praying for the heavens to protect them. The person they are all calling out to, is you." Lu Yao listened to the cries of countless people around him, and his heart beat faster. Was this what his father had left behind? He had no military rank, no path to immortality, and no belief in the world. He was just a mortal. However, everyone's hope was on a mortal at this moment. "Father, you will come back, right?" Mu Sheng, Jiu, Kong Luoyao, Ling Long, Liwei, Xian, Ling Nua, Feng Lingzi, Jinghui Yenran, Ling Shuang, Beishue Qinling, they raised their heads and looked in the direction of the sky. It was as if that familiar figure had appeared in front of their eyes again. "Ha ha ha, are you still counting on the solipsistic?" Tong Tian demonic fiend laughed wildly, "He won't come. He's no longer the solipsistic from before. Although that kid hasn't become a demon, without the support of faith, he's no different from others. Now, I'm afraid he won't even dare to fart when he sees me. Go to hell, all of you. Chaos soldiers, kill them all. Men, women, old, and young, leave no one alive." However, just as Tong Tian demonic fiend finished speaking, suddenly, in the direction of the sky, a bright light pierced through the thick black fog. In the sky, a huge dragon spread its 10 pairs of wings, stirring up the wind and clouds, and was flying towards them. It's 10 wings. Lu Yi held Xiaomin's hand excitedly, I knew it, boss will definitely come." Although Xiaomin had lost most of her memories, at this moment, she felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. "I've always believed that Dad would come." The medicine boy's voice was a little choked, "Of course he'll come, who asked him to be the solipsistic?" On the dragon's head, a person stood with his hands behind his back. His black and white robe fluttered violently in the wind, and his long hair was lifted by the wind, dancing wantonly. His face looked like he was only 26 or 27 years old, but in his eyes, there was a vicissitude and frost that didn't match his appearance. He seemed to have seen through many things and understood many things. However, his eyes were as firm as they were in the beginning. 10 wings, faster. Roar. A dragon's roar shook heaven and earth, and 10 wings sped up again. When they saw that person, that dragon, countless people had tears in their eyes. It's him. He's back. He's back. He knows that there are no more of his people in this world, but he still came. Pangu hugged Nine Nether's shoulder and said in a trembling voice, "This brat, he's finally here. Luckily, I didn't misjudge him. No wonder Nuwa thinks so highly of him, this brat really didn't disappoint." Chapter 1557. The dragon arrived above the main battlefield in the blink of an eye. Lu Chen raised his hand while looking at the surging divine weapons. Tao of the spear. The spear in front of Lu Chen rose to the sky and exploded among the millions of divine weapons. A powerful storm of spiritual power swept across the sky and forced the millions of divine weapons to retreat. Little beast, furball, originator, rhubarb, little carp, I'll leave the divine weapons to you, Lu Chen said casually. 5 divine beast pets suddenly appeared next to Lu Chen. During the years when Lu Chen was in seclusion, Little Beast and the others had been improving their strength. The 5 divine beasts that had been with Lu Chen for many years had all changed. Furball's hair had turned golden, and it was emitting an astonishing golden light after it grew larger. Little Beast was even taller and taller. Its eyes were black and white, and it had 2 pairs of wings on its back. 18 illusions of divine beasts appeared behind it. Originator was no longer in the form of a white tiger, its body was in the form of a black mist. Little Carp turned into a 9-clawed golden dragon, which was shining so brightly that it was impossible to look at it directly. Rhubarb had grown a bit larger. Ha 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 ha. Are you the so-called Elysium creatures? You're just so. Rhubarb stood in front of the 4 divine beasts. I'm not going to say much. If you have the ability to get past my 4 minions, I'll give it to you. Little Beast frowned. Rhubarb, stop dreaming. Who are your minions? Rhubarb wasn't intimidated at all. In terms of seniority, am I not the first to follow you? But you're the weakest. So what? Wait for me for 10,000 years. I have the Daitengu bloodline. How can I lose to you? The golden dragon said, Little Beast, let Rhubarb draw the hatred. It's more professional. TSK. What's a Daitengu? The little beast's face was full of disdain. Forget it, forget it. Little Golden Carp said too much. You're still the best at drawing hatred. You can continue. Only then did Rhubarb turn his head to look at the 1,000,000-strong army. Come, come, come. Bring as many of you as you can. Attack together. As expected, Rhubarb successfully attracted a huge amount of hatred. The 1,000,000 divine soldiers madly pounced on the 5 beasts. The little furball's body suddenly expanded and instantly enlarged. It was 3 times bigger than before, reaching a height of 400 to 500 meters. It roared at the 1,000,000 divine soldiers. Roar! The wind howled and the spiritual power surged. When these Elysium creatures saw this large rat, they actually felt a trace of fear. At the same time, the black mist quickly split into 4 parts and wrapped around the furry ball, the little beast, and the little golden carp. Rhubarb's face was filled with shock. Little Yuan, why don't I have it? Aren't you going to protect me? Lu Chen shook his head with a smile. Rhubarb, the differentiation of the sub-originator will lower its defense. Why should I give it to you when you're not going to fight? You go down and have a rest. Okay. Rhubarb stepped on the void and went down to rest happily. On the other side, the furry ball had started its feast. It took the lead and rushed into the enemy army to kill them. The little beast's attack was very powerful, and its defense was not weak either. However, it was not as powerful as the furry ball and the sub-originator. But now, it had the protection of its doppelganger, which made up for its lack of defense. Lu Chen had thought that the little golden carp was not very good at fighting. However, when he saw the little golden carp's combat effectiveness in the form of the 9-clawed golden dragon, Lu Chen changed his mind. The 9-clawed golden dragon was famous for its attack. Although it was not good at magic, its attack was extremely powerful. With the protection of the sub-originator's doppelganger, the little golden carp was invincible. As for the sub-originator, it was accumulating energy. When it attacked, it would be the most terrifying existence. For some reason, Lu Chen remembered how these guys looked when they were young. In the blink of an eye, they had finally grown up. Now, there was only one person left on the battlefield. Lu Chen turned his head and looked at the man opposite him. The Heavenly Fiend. The Heavenly Fiend's chaos weapon seemed to be no match for Lu Chen's battle pets, but the Heavenly Fiend didn't care at all. At the moment, the Heavenly Fiend was looking at Lu Chen with a smile. You're here. Lu Chen said calmly. So, you have to die. Ha, ha, ha. Lu Chen, oh, Lu Chen, so what if you're here? Do you think you can defeat me? Have you gathered all the fate reverser weapons? How dare you challenge me? Oh, right. There's something you haven't figured out, right? The heavenly fiend looked at Lu Chen in excitement. Lu Chen frowned but didn't say anything. Everyone has told you that your mother died on the terminus star. But do you know how she died? I was the one who personally destroyed her body and killed her. Lu Chen, you don't know, do you? Before she died, she kept murmuring your name and your sister's name. She missed you so much. She said that she was sorry that she couldn't be with you all the time. She said that you had suffered too much. Oh, I felt sorry for her. So, I broke her throat so that she would never be able to say your name again. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. The green mist was surging out. Well, that woman thought she was smart. She carefully left a remnant of her soul on the terminus star. Maybe I wouldn't find it. But she was just like your idiotic father. What they didn't know was that I needed you to break through the Jiutian star. Lu Chen, you are not only a chess piece for your parents, but also a tool for me to take on a human form. The Jiutian god of war. You don't deserve that. Lu Chen took a deep breath, and the green mist in his eyes actually disappeared. That he looked at the heavenly demon fiend and said calmly, don't you know? You won't die if you don't take on a human form. The heavenly demon fiend suddenly widened his eyes. Heavenly demon fiend, the ultimate goal of the guide plan isn't what you think. I can help you take on a human form if I break through the Jiutian star, but I can also kill you. My people died because of you. You killed my mother with your own hands. You used countless lives in the universe as a tool to increase your strength. There seems to be no reason for me to let you go. Yi Fan. Yi Fan was watching the show intently when he heard Lu Chen calling him. He quickly flew over. Master, I'm here. Lu Chen nodded at him and smiled. Do you want to bet? Ah. Yi Fan's eyes widened. He was a little confused. Master, how come you're more addicted to gambling than me? Lu Chen smiled and shook his head. Your luck with money is really worrying. How about this? Let the black armored king start. This time, you bet. Master, this. Do you want me to bet that you'll lose? Lu Chen gradually stopped smiling. Bet that I'll win. Lu Chen said coldly. This time, I'll bring you along to change your fate. Chapter 1558. After the gods retreated, only 2 people were left on the main battlefield. Only 2 people in the 9 heavens. This battle was probably the Jiutian's final battle. Beside Lu Chen, the limitless sword of divinity and demons hovered and rotated slowly. Symbiosis of divinity and demons, God form. Lu Chen shouted and activated the state. It was still that familiar appearance. Billions of people looked up at the white-haired man standing in the void. On the other side, heavenly demon fiend's eyelids contracted. Suddenly, his eyes widened and he disappeared. In the next moment, heavenly demon fiend appeared in front of Lu Chen. I heard that you have all professions. Sorry, me too. Then let me play with you. Extreme Tao Thousand Buddha Palm. Instantly, heavenly demon fiend sent out countless palms, each containing monstrous spiritual energy. Looking from the ground, the entire sky seemed to be covered by golden palms. If one of these palms missed, the entire planet would be destroyed. Facing the 1000 Buddha palm, Lu Chen held the sword in his right hand and shouted, Fierce tiger descends the mountain. Sacred lotus sword heart. In an instant, thousands of sword auras shot out. In the blink of an eye, less than a second after the 2 of them attacked, nearly 10,000 spiritual energy rings exploded in the sky. Boom, 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 boom. Heaven and earth shook, space surged, and air waves soared into the sky. Lu Chen's formless had reached the peak, and he received all of the 1,000 Buddha palm. Ha ha ha, as expected of the solipsistic. However, Lu Chen, this is just a warm-up. Heavenly Demon Fiend seemed even more excited and instantly pounced on Lu Chen. I heard that you're very strong in close combat. A black metal broadsword appeared in Heavenly Demon Fiend's hand, and he slashed at Lu Chen. It's the God-slaying extinction blade. Pangu recognized the weapon at a glance. God-slaying extinction. It's on the same level as your heaven-splitting axe. Nine Nether frowned. The limitless sword of divinity in demons has not evolved to its complete form. I'm afraid it's lower in level. Lu Chen quickly blocked with the reverse soul roaming dragon. However, as soon as the god-demon limitless sword came into contact with the god-slaying invincible blade, Lu Chen instantly felt an indescribable pressure. Block. Can you block it? Heavenly Demon Fiend roared. Lu Chen was indeed unable to evade this attack, so he could only take it head-on. Void Guard. Lu Chen stubbornly used his limitless godly demon sword to block the opponent's attack. Wave after wave of spiritual energy crazily collided with him, and finally, Lu Chen was directly sent flying. The Heavenly Demon Fiend did not intend to give Lu Chen the slightest chance to catch his breath and instantly chased after him. Again. Heavenly Demonic Fiend's attack speed was extremely fast. Lu Chen did not have enough time to activate God's Descent, so he could only continue to block. Every time the two of them collided, a ring of air would explode in the air. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were already tens of thousands of meters away. Lu Chen consecutively crashed through several mountain peaks, but the Heavenly Demon Fiend became more and more courageous as the battle went on, sending Lu Chen flying again and again. After a few rounds of attacks, Lu Chen finally activated God's Descent to dodge the attack. However, after taking the Heavenly Demon Fiend's powerful attacks head-on, the spiritual energy in Lu Chen's body was in turmoil, and he could not help but spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. Ha 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 ha, Lu Chen, you can't take it anymore. You've really disappointed me. I'm not serious yet. The Heavenly Demon Fiend had already caught up with Lu Chen in an instant. He looked at Lu Chen's sorry state and laughed. Everyone, take a look. Is this your Jiutian god of war? Who dares to call themselves a god in front of me? The spectators' hearts were heavy. The difference in strength between the two of them was actually very clear. Although Lu Chen was very strong, he was still at a disadvantage. One must know that the Heavenly Demon Fiend's powerful attacks did not contain any skills. In other words, he was simply toying with Lu Chen. Lu Chen, have you rested enough? Then let's continue. Let me see what's so special about you. After saying that, the Heavenly Demon Fiend had already attacked Lu Chen again. Brother. Lu Yi's eyes were moist. She knew very well that if they continued to fight like this, her brother would lose his life. Niuhua said faintly from the side, Lu Chen doesn't have much time left. Lu Yi lowered her head, wiped away her tears, and nodded at Niuhua. Okay, then let's begin. The two of them slowly walked up to the altar that had been built long ago. Many people's gazes followed the two of them. Can she really summon the Heavenly Demon Fiend? She's just an ordinary earthling who can't be any more ordinary. How can she? No, she's Lu Chen's sister. Immortal Master Lu Yuan racked his brains to decide on the guide plan. The most important part was her. Lu Yuan's family is really pitiful. Lu Yuan was imprisoned in the heaven-penetrating prison and suffered heavenly punishment for decades. He couldn't even beg for death. Xing Kai fell and Lu Yi still has to sigh. This Lu family is really righteous. Niuhua brought Lu Yi to the top of the altar. Lu Yi raised her head to look at the sky. She really wanted to say a few words to her brother, but, under the crazy attacks of the Heavenly Demon Fiend, her brother probably didn't even know what was happening below. She didn't tell anyone about this matter. Bei Shui Gufei, Bei Shui, Lu Yao, Mu Sheng, she didn't say anything. Her brother had no way of knowing. Lu Yi, are you ready? Lu Yi shook off all the thoughts in her mind and nodded. Mother told me to protect brother. But it's always been brother protecting me. Now it's my turn to protect brother. Niuhua sighed. Lu Yi, the level 10-star altar needs to sacrifice you. Are you willing? I'm willing. Lu Yi nodded heavily. Then, Lu Yi slowly walked to the center of the altar. Niuhua took a deep breath and said to the altar, I offer a maiden of the stars as a sacrifice. I request to activate the level 10-star altar. Lu Yi couldn't hear what Niuhua said. She only looked at the figure in the sky. I still remember when I was very young. Brother, I've actually always missed the times when we were young. Although we didn't even have a full meal back then, at least you were always by my side. Ever since we went to the Jiutian, we earned a lot of money and bought a villa. We didn't have to worry about food anymore. But the time I see you is getting less and less. Now, I'm a married woman with children. You're the father of 3 children. We have our own lives now. But I've never forgotten that you're the person closest to me. Even if, we're not related by blood. Brother, you must win. Protect everything we care about. Protect our home. Lu Yi closed her eyes and said, Brother, it's Lu Yi's turn to protect you this time. As she spoke, a sword aura mercilessly cut through the sky. Then, a figure shot down from the sky. The altar, which had been prepared for a long time, collapsed in an instant before it could be activated. Lu Yi opened her eyes in horror. She felt as if a pair of large hands had protected her and brought her out of the surrounding rubble. Lu Yi couldn't be more familiar with the face in front of her. But, brother. You destroyed the level 10-star altar. Lu Chen smiled at Lu Yi. As expected, Heavenly Demon Wuxian has something to do with you. Brother, how did you know? Lu Chen flicked Lu Yi's forehead. Have you forgotten that your brother has the heavenly eye? As long as my spiritual power is within reach, my vision won't be obstructed. Even if there are billions of people on the ground, even if your altar is hidden, I can still find you at a glance. Although the heavenly demon Wraith is powerful, does he really think that he can suppress me forever? I'm looking for you. If the guide's plan is really flawless, then it's missing the most important part, which is Heavenly Demon Wuxian. Plus, the Buddha said that I will lose the person closest to me. The first person I thought of was you. Lu Chen had shown that he cared a lot about the primordial Buddha's words. How could he forget about the ultimate battle? You liked to be brave when you were young and insisted on protecting your brother. Why are you still so naughty now that you're older? Lu Chen was blaming Lu Yi, but his eyes were full of affection. Brother, don't stop me. Without Heavenly Demon Wuxian, you can't win against the Heavenly Demon Wraith. Lu Chen smiled. Silly girl. The Heavenly Demon Wraith said that I'm a pawn of the guide's plan. The primordial Buddha said that I will lose the person closest to me. Without Heavenly Demon Wraith, I can't defeat the Heavenly Demon Wraith. Yi Fan is destined to lose. If these are all destined, then, I will change everything. Chapter 1559. A palm pressed down from the sky. Lu Chen put Lu Yi down and shouted, Limitless Sword of the Celestial and Demon, Annihilation. Lu Chen didn't have time to say anything to his sister before he disappeared from the spot. Lu Yi sat there in a daze. Brother was still the same. Every time he said he would protect her, he still had to protect her. Brother, please don't die. Niuhua walked to Lu Yi's side and shook her head. In the end, he still chose to bear all this alone. That's true. It would have been fine if he didn't know. Now that he knows, with his character, he would never sacrifice his loved ones. Solipsistic, you are still the young man we first met. In the sky, Lu Chen stood in the void. The last burden in his heart had been put down. Now, he could finally fight. Lu Chen, this is really interesting. You actually gave up the chance to find limitless celestial and demon. The heavenly demon fiend was excited. Ha ha ha, you originally had a little bit of hope. Now, even that last bit of hope is gone. I know your strength too well. You can't beat me. Lu Chen looked at the heavenly demon fiend indifferently. Do you really know my strength? Oh, right. You are a Jiutian consciousness. You have probably seen all my battles and know all my trump cards. However, I'm sorry to tell you that I am no longer the solipsistic from before. Lu Chen raised his head slightly, his gaze resolute. Hanga looked at Lu Chen in the sky and said excitedly, "Little Lu Chen, go and change your destiny. Your fighting spirit has never collapsed. Instead, after this incident, you have become even more determined. You are not from the Jackal tribe, nor are you a human. You are the Jiutian god of war." With a boom, Lu Chen roared and instantly turned into a white light, shooting toward the heavenly demon fiend. Limitless sword of the celestial and demon, limitless sword Dao. Heavenly demonic fiend coldly snorted, heavenly Dao sovereign skill, mad blade god slaying. The god-slaying invincible blade and the celestial and demon limitless sword transformed into huge afterimages at the same time and clashed violently in the air. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion shook the heavens and the earth. Spiritual energy surged and spread for thousands of miles. However, this time, Lu Chen was not pushed back. Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. Lu Chen used the reverse heaven roaming dragon spear to dissolve part of the opponent's attack. Then, he used the limitless sword Dao to block God-slaying frenzy blade. Following that, the limitless sword turned into a spear shadow and shot out. Chaos Turbulence. 9 Spear Shadow Spear. Open Heaven Shield. A black spiritual shield rapidly appeared in front of Demon Venerable Heavenspan, directly blocking the 9 spears. Since you won't shed tears until you see the coffin, I'll grant you your wish. The heavenly demonic fiend growled. Heavenly Dao sovereign skill, Star Sea Splitter. 1,000-mile-long saber shadow slashed down towards Lu Chen. Godly devil astral body. Lu Chen's figure blurred and quickly disappeared. In an instant, he appeared behind the heavenly demonic fiend. 8 directions annihilation, back strike. Devil body devil transformation. The heavenly demonic fiend growled as 2 pairs of arms suddenly grew out from his back. The 4 arms attacked at the same time, blasting out countless thousand Buddha palms. Lu Chen quickly used his firepower to suppress the sacred lotus sword heart to resist the 1,000 Buddha palms. His main body continued to charge towards the heavenly demonic fiend. In an instant, the two exchanged blows again. Under the aftershock, the mountain peak was flattened. After a vertical air ring exploded, the ground was affected, and a dark abyss was directly split open. The two were pushed back at the same time. The heavenly demonic fiend was shocked. What is going on? He can actually push me back. At this moment, a cold light came from behind. Lu Chen had already stopped his momentum. Die for me. Lu Chen's eyes were about to split open as he roared, Great Tao of Spear. The heavenly demonic fiend had just blocked Lu Chen's spear technique when he realized that Lu Chen was already 1,000 miles away. Heaven burning earth fire. Fire power suppression. Heaven breaking sword. The earth split open, and countless words came out from the cracks. Just as Lu Chen was about to kill the heavenly demonic fiend suddenly slashed out. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Lu Chen. He raised his sword and slashed down. Kid, you have quite a lot of tricks. Unfortunately, the gap between us is not something that can be filled by your acrobatics. Come, I'll let you have a taste of this. Great Sky Controlling Star Technique. The heavenly demonic fiend raised his hand, and in the distant sky, a planet shot towards Earth. Not long after, people only felt that there was no light above their heads. When they looked up again, they could not help but be scared out of their wits. Some people could already see that a planet was smashing towards the ground. This planet was incomparably huge. When it passed through the atmosphere, it had already turned into a fireball, emitting billowing flames as it fell from the sky. Everyone on Earth knew this planet. It was Earth's satellite, the Moon. This guy is crazy. He pulled the Moon over. Gods could destroy planets, but no one had ever seen a god who could control a planet. If the entire Moon fell, even if Earth still existed, all the humans on Earth would definitely be wiped out. When the huge Moon fell, it carried an extremely terrifying amount of energy as it broke through the atmosphere and blasted down. The entire world was illuminated in red. At this time, even if Lu Chen used the sacred lotus sword heart to shatter the Moon, after the remaining fragments fell, it would still cause an unimaginable disaster. Ha ha ha, solipsistic, I'd like to see if you can block it or not. Lu Chen stared at the planet, gritted his teeth, and arrived in front of the Moon in the blink of an eye. Immediately after, Lu Chen held the falling planet with both hands. Although the flames did not burn Lu Chen, the huge impact caused the spiritual energy in Lu Chen's spirit core to churn. Lu Chen's mind raced. He could shatter the Moon, but he could not catch it. Moreover, the Moon's falling momentum was too strong. If he used too much force, he would only penetrate the Moon and would not be able to stop it. At this time, the heavenly demonic aura blasted toward the ground again. This time, I'd like to see which side you care about. I'm going to destroy everything you protect and make you understand that you can't go against the heavens. One was a falling planet, and the other was an attack that could destroy Earth. Two attacks that could destroy the world fell at the same time. Countless people were at their wits' end at this time. This heavenly demonic aura is too despicable. It's over now. Even if Solipsistic is not defeated, he will definitely not be able to protect Earth. If Earth is destroyed, it will be a fatal blow to Mad God. Everyone, let's block this attack together. Although the main force was now seriously injured, many experts were dead or injured, and the 10 sides heavenly armor formation was broken. It was too difficult for the remaining people to block this attack, but this was all they could do now. At this time, Lu Chen decisively gave up on the Moon and stood in front of the heavenly demonic aura. Infinite sword of celestial and demon, 3 forms in one. Little fur ball, I'll leave the Moon to you. Swallow it. Chapter 1560. It wasn't difficult to destroy the Moon, but to prevent debris from falling, it was better to leave it to the furball. The furball immediately perked up when it heard that it was time to eat. It ignored its opponent and rushed toward the falling planet. The furball was as small as a speck of light in front of the Moon. However, when the furball opened its mouth, a black vortex appeared in its mouth. A huge suction force came from the vortex, and the Moon's shape was severely distorted. A large amount of lunar material was forcibly pulled into the vortex. The spherical Moon was suddenly distorted and stretched. In an instant it was sucked into the furball. Seeing this scene, Lu Chen's eyes widened in disbelief. Holy shit! Even Lu Chen was stunned by the furball's appetite, let alone the others. This is the power of the sky-devouring god-slaying rat. It swallowed a planet in 3 seconds. So, as long as the sky-devouring god-slaying rat wants to, it can also swallow the Earth. This is too exaggerated. This doesn't conform to the law of conservation of mass. After swallowing a planet, the furball didn't grow bigger. The only change was that it burped. After following Lu Chen for so long, it rarely had the chance to eat until it was full. This time, it finally ate the Moon of its boss hometown. The furball was very satisfied. After replenishing the energy of a planet, the furball roared at Lu Chen, meaning that the mission was completed. If there were any similar missions in the future, it could be handed over to it. Then, it rushed into the enemy formation and continued to kill the Heavenly Gate soldiers with the little beast and the others. At the same time, Lu Chen's three-style combination of the infinite sword of celestial and demon was colliding with the heavenly demonic blade aura. The heavenly demonic blade aura's two-pronged attack was intended to distract Lu Chen, but the furball's appearance quickly turned the situation around. Lu Chen's three-style combination was currently Lu Chen's most powerful attack. It was so powerful that it actually suppressed the heavenly demonic blade aura. The heavenly demonic blade aura attacked aggressively, and a black spiritual shield appeared around it. With a loud boom, a figure was sent flying in the explosion of spiritual power. When everyone saw this scene, they all revealed expressions of disbelief. The heavenly devilish fiend was sent flying by the mad god. Although he was only sent flying, one had to know that ever since the heavenly demonic fiend appeared, he had always been in a dominating position. But this time, when he was sent flying, people saw a glimmer of hope. The heavenly demonic fiend was not undefeatable. When experts exchanged blows, it was never just a single move. Heavenly demonic fiend was like this, and so was Lu Chen. Spear of heaven and earth. 1,000 meters away, a light spear fell from the sky, hitting the heavenly demonic fiend that was flying backward. The black spirit shield fluctuated, and after the heavenly demon fiend suffered another attack, its body plummeted downwards. Lu Chen. Heavenly demon fiend gnashed his teeth and roared, but his spiritual energy was in chaos for a short period of time, so he was unable to control his body. However, Lu Chen's attack was far from over. The limitless godly demon sword transformed into the shape of a longbow. Using spiritual energy as arrows, Lu Chen shot out 8 arrows. Sealing sky setting sun arrow, piercing sun arrow. The sun-piercing arrows directly tore through space and struck the heavenly demonic fiend. Lu Chen directly appeared in front of the heavenly demonic fiend with God's arrival. Buddha body doppelganger. Void-shattering triple attack. The 3 doppelgangers attacked at the same time. The heavenly demonic fiend glared at Lu Chen, but Lu Chen's attacks were too coherent. Just now, his carelessness had caused his spirit core to be shaken by the limitless 3 styles. After that, he didn't even have half a chance to adjust his breathing. At this time, he could only meet Lu Chen's void-shattering head-on. With a boom, even though he had a spirit shield protecting his body, void-shattering had a strong suppressive effect on shields and arrays. The heavenly demonic fiend's body shot straight to the ground like a cannonball. 9 Spear Rapid Shadow Spear. Sky-breaking sword. Universe total annihilation. Holy Lotus Sword Heart. Suppressive fire. Heaven's Fury Wild Spear. Lu Chen didn't give the heavenly demonic fiend half a chance. He attacked wave after wave, all kinds of skills wildly bombarding the heavenly demonic fiend. Lu Chen, you. The heavenly demonic fiend's spirit energy was in chaos for half a moment, and he was beaten by Lu Chen until he couldn't recover. Being bombarded by Lu Chen's skills indiscriminately, even the heavenly demonic fiend couldn't bear it. His spirit shield finally shattered under the fierce attacks. Seeing the spirit shield shatter, Lu Chen's eyes widened, and he used the limitless 3 styles again. Die for me. Lu Chen roared. His figure was like lightning, shooting toward the heavenly demonic fiend. Everyone was so nervous that they couldn't breathe. Was Mad God going to win? But at this time, the heavenly demonic fiend roared, the one who will die is you. Endless Thousand Demon Blade. With a loud bang, a ring of air shook open in mid-air, extending endlessly into the distance, breaking through the atmosphere. Even outside the earth, one could feel the vibration of this ring of air. Suddenly, countless buildings on the ground collapsed instantly, and a huge deep pit appeared in the ground within a few thousand meters. The heavenly demonic fiend directly penetrated the ground, sinking deep into the ground. And Lu Chen was also sent flying, crashing into the mountains thousands of meters away. There was a brief silence in the battle. Everyone was waiting anxiously. Heavenly demonic fiend can actually adjust his spirit energy in such a situation. What's the situation between the two of them now? A moment later, two figures returned to the main battlefield at the same time, but one came from the distant horizon, and the other came from the ground. Lu Chen's mouth was stained with blood, indicating that he should have vomited a lot of blood just now. And the heavenly demonic fiend also had some blood at the corner of his mouth. At this time, the killing intent in the heavenly demonic fiend's eyes surged. He stared at Lu Chen and said coldly, "You actually hurt me." Lu Chen looked at the heavenly demonic fiend indifferently, "So what if I hurt you? I still want to kill you." "Humph, kill me? You went all out and used all the skills you learned in your life, but you only broke my chaotic sky demonic shield. What makes you think you can kill me? You destroyed the level 10 star altar, giving up the chance to obtain the heavenly demonic fiend, and also giving up the only possibility of killing me." Lu Chen sneered, "If I can break your shield, I can kill you." After saying that, Lu Chen took a deep breath, 9 transformations of gods and demons, demonic form. Suddenly, Lu Chen's form underwent a huge change. The emptiness of gods and demons hidden under the divine form rapidly demonized and expanded. Then, it was the body. The bloodline of the mutated dragon species turned Lu Chen's body into a 1,000-meter-long dragon. Of course, this was only the first step of the demonic form. The next step was the main point. On the dragon's head, the fox ears that had not been seen for a long time appeared. When Li Wei saw Lu Chen's fox ears, she was suddenly moved. After all, Lu Chen had something in common with her. But the fox ears were still far from reaching the end. Next, spider legs grew on the dragon's body, gnoll claws, devil horns, tiger eyes, and why could there be wooden horns on the devil horns? Finally, the dragon, to be precise, this creature should not be called a dragon anymore. But anyway, Lu Chen's head fell off. The head of an unknown species floated beside the dragon's body. This form, rather than demonic form, should be called the final form of a wild monster. Chapter 1561. When the demon form appeared, both the people in the Jiutian and the people on earth looked at the creature in horror. "Oh my God, what kind of monster is that? Don't talk about fighting, just looking at it is scary enough. Is this Mad God's demon form? I've never seen Mad God in this form before, but this form is really hard to explain." Jiu stared blankly at the terrifying creature in the sky, as if some unbearable memories had been activated. "Big brother Lu Chen. That's right, the ghost that scared her to tears on the ancient battlefield was definitely Lu Chen's transformation. After all, other creatures were not as scary as him." Lu Chen's head was glaring angrily, but when he inadvertently looked at his own body, he still could not find the feeling. "Damn it, I've been handsome for decades, but I still have to fight in this form in the end. I can't escape." The initial attributes of the demon form were half of the god form. Now, Lu Chen had to buy himself more time to raise the attributes of the demon form. Demon clone. More and more clones appeared in the sky. Suddenly, more than 30 of these creatures appeared in the sky. As everyone's heads were not on their necks, for a moment, outsiders could not tell which head belonged to which body. The problem now was whether he should attack the head or the body. He could split his real body, after all, he could track the spirit nucleus. However, there was no spirit nucleus in the head, so even someone as strong as Heavenly Demon Fiend couldn't tell which one was Lu Chen's head. Some children were already crying in fear. Jiu was completely stunned. It turned out that Big Brother Lu Chen had already been merciful to her. If Big Brother Lu Chen had used the clone skill, she would have been shocked several times more. Now, the Heavenly Demon Fiend was also shocked. What kind of tactic was this? He had existed for millions of years and had never encountered such a strange clone. "Lu Chen, what tricks are you playing? One of the heads shook its head helplessly and sighed. Actually, he did not want to do this. However, the demon form was his strongest form. Since the god form could not defeat the heavenly demon fiend, Lu Chen had no choice but to use the demon form. Lu Chen, no matter how many doppelgangers you have, I will destroy them all. Without waiting for the heavenly demonic fiend to attack, Lu Chen used another skill. Ghostly shadows. When this skill was used, the group of people was completely thrown into disarray. The sky was filled with headless flying dragons and Lu Chen's heads. The heavenly demonic fiend's eyes widened. He couldn't even find Lu Chen's head with more than 30 clones, let alone download countless headless flying dragons. Those heads were still flying around, making it even more dazzling. Pangu finally couldn't hold it in any longer and complained, Lu Chen, oh Lu Chen, this is the final battle. Are you trying to play around? However, the heavenly demonic fiend was not a mortal after all. He quickly calmed down. There was a spirit core in his body. As long as the spirit core was destroyed, even if Lu Chen had a way to escape, he would be completely crippled. Thinking of this, the heavenly demonic fiend saber swung out, the saber light pointing straight at Lu Chen's true body. Ghost shadows, descend. Want to run? The heavenly demonic fiend saber naturally captured Lu Chen's whereabouts easily. In a flash, he appeared in front of Lu Chen's true body. However, Lu Chen had no intention of stopping at all. He once again descended on the other clones. The two launched a pure speed contest in the air. Every time they descended, Lu Chen's ghost shadows would decrease by 1. In just a few dozen seconds, the two had already changed their positions thousands of times. The number of ghost shadows in the sky was decreasing. Lu Chen, do you only know how to run? Didn't you want to kill me? Why are you being chased by me like a stray dog? The heavenly demonic fiend saber said angrily. Lu Chen ignored his taunts and activated ghost shadows again. The number of ghost shadows that had just decreased suddenly increased again. Although Lu Chen's strength was weaker, if he insisted on running, it would not be easy for the heavenly demonic fiend saber to catch up to him. After several such chases, Lu Chen lasted for 3 minutes under the pursuit of the heavenly demonic fiend saber. The heavenly demonic fiend saber was already infuriated by Lu Chen. He was desperately increasing his speed to chase after Lu Chen. Suddenly, without any warning, Lu Chen did not continue to run. The null arm held the limitless god fiend sword tightly and stabbed over. Genesis splitter. The heavenly demonic fiend saber could not react in time and was almost hit by Lu Chen's sneak attack. At the critical moment, black mist appeared around the heavenly demonic fiend saber again. The spirit shield helped him block Lu Chen's sneak attack this time. However, because the heavenly demonic fiend saber's preparations were too hasty, Lu Chen once again broke the heavenly demonic fiend saber's spirit shield. The spirit shield was damaged twice, and this time, he used Pangu's skill that could sever the connection of spiritual energy. A large amount of black mist surged in front of the heavenly demonic fiend saber, but it could no longer form the spirit shield. The surrounding doppelgangers had already disappeared, leaving behind only Lu Chen's main body. His head looked indifferently at the heavenly demonic fiend saber. Heavenly demonic fiend, you're only a so-so. I've already succeeded twice. With your level, you have the nerve to call yourself the ruler of Jiutian? I see that after you transformed, your skin is indeed thick enough. The heavenly demonic fiend saber glared angrily, fuming with anger. My skin is thick. Lu Chen, you have the nerve to talk about me when you're hiding? If you're really so powerful, why don't you continue to fight me head-on? Why do you have to hide like this? Lu Chen coldly snorted. What a joke. I attacked you twice in front of you. How is that not a head-on fight? The heavenly demonic fiend saber's face was pale. Lu Chen's words left the heavenly demonic fiend saber speechless. Whether it was Lu Chen's sudden appearance of the limitless 3 styles, or Lu Chen's use of doppelgangers as a cover, Lu Chen definitely could not be said to be backstabbing. The heavenly demonic fiend Saber's gaze gradually turned cold. He stared at Lu Chen's figure. No matter how much you use these unorthodox methods, in the end, you still can't escape from my grasp. Now that I've played with you enough, it's time to end all of this. Jiutian's supreme skill, destruction of heaven and earth. After saying that, the heavenly demonic fiend Saber roared, "All of you, die for me. Go and be destroyed." A huge saber energy rumbled in the air. Flames soared into the sky, and the spiritual energy in the surrounding space was directly sucked dry by this move. The saber's edge directly charged. In the midst of the destruction of heaven and earth, the space had already become unreal. The saber energy was shooting at Lu Chen at an extremely fast speed. The heavenly demonic fiend Saber did not lie. He already wanted to end this battle, and his attack was several times stronger than before. Lu Chen hurriedly countered with the limitless three styles. However, the saber energy instantly engulfed the sword energy of the limitless three styles. Lu Chen was submerged in the endless destruction of heaven and earth spiritual energy. Not good. Mad God has been hit. This move of destruction of heaven and earth spiritual energy is too fierce. It directly defeated Mad God's limitless three swords. Since Mad God fought in his demon form, this form should be stronger than his previous God form. How could he be killed in one move? Nine Nether frowned. The heavenly demonic fiend Saber did not use his full strength at the beginning. What we didn't expect was that when he got serious, his strength would increase so much. When little Lu Chen suddenly attacked during the chase, the strength of his demon form spiritual energy had already reached twice that of his God form. And when little Lu Chen attacked at that time, it meant that his demon form had already reached the upper limit of his attributes. However, even so, he couldn't block the heavenly demonic fiend Saber's attack when he got serious. Hangen narrowed his eyes slightly. The heavenly demonic fiend Saber was indeed powerful, exceeding everyone's expectations. Even Lu Chen's demon form was no match for it. No one expected that the heavenly demonic fiend Saber had hidden such a terrifying combat power. Lu Chen in his demon form was no match for the heavenly demonic fiend Saber. The light and shadow gradually dissipated. When people looked at the remaining wreckage in the sky, they were already in despair. In the sky, the monster's final form had already faded away. Now, only a human skeleton was left in the sky. Solipsistic's physical body had directly evaporated in the destruction of heaven and earth just now. In people's minds, they thought of an ending that no one was willing to believe. Solipsistic had died in battle. Chapter 1562. The heavenly demonic spectre was so powerful that once it got serious, even Lu Chen, who was in his demon form, would not be able to stop it. Even though the attributes of his demon form were twice that of his God form, and his defense and physical strength had reached Lu Chen's peak state, Lu Chen was only able to preserve his skeleton under this attack. Seeing this scene, everyone was in complete despair. Mad God! Even the solipsistic has died in battle. Sure enough, no one can stop the heavenly demonic spectre. It's over, it's completely over. No one can stop the heavenly demonic spectre anymore. How many lives do we have in Jiutian? We're just ants in front of him. Forget it, even if we're going to be slaughtered, we can't just sit around and wait for death. However, there were still some people in the crowd who frowned and stared at the skeleton that stood upright. These people were the gods of the undead clan. Some of the undead clan members felt that something was wrong and said in disbelief, "How could this be? He's from the undead clan." One of the beautiful women was excited. She pulled her friend beside her and said in disbelief, "The bone-changing rebirth Holy Spirit pill has taken effect." Netherworld, Withered Claw, and Bone Demon were probably the only ones who knew the inside story. During the Battle of the Gods, Bone Demon was afraid that Lu Chen would die in battle. Of course, perhaps he had some other intentions, so he secretly gave Lu Chen the undead clan's sacred medicine. However, Lu Chen did not die in battle during the Battle of the Gods. Instead, this time, the sacred medicine had taken effect. This was definitely something they would not have thought of at that time. Netherworld frowned and said, when the sacred medicine takes effect, it has the additional effect of strengthening the bones. Perhaps the sacred medicine helped Lu Chen protect his bones. We, the undead clan, can clearly feel the existence of the spirit core in Lu Chen's body. However, he has already retracted the spirit core into the bones of his body like us. The sacred medicine has really taken effect. Withered Claw suddenly said, but where is Lu Chen's life bone? Why is there no life bone? There should be at least one. My guess is that although the holy elixir has taken effect, it's only equivalent to Lu Chen having the identity of an undead. He needs to cultivate his life bones one by one. Yu Ming said. Lu Chen's situation is different from other undead. He's not even an immortal. He's just a mortal. Becoming an undead with a mortal's physique also means that he doesn't have a connate life bone. Doesn't that mean that the current Lu Chen is still very weak? Gu Mei said worriedly. Even Netherworld couldn't answer this question. I don't know either. What I said before was just a guess. After all, Lu Chen's situation is too special. No one knows what will happen if he fuses with the bone-changing reincarnation Holy Spirit pill. Even Netherworld, Withered Claw, and Bone Demon did not know what kind of changes would happen to Lu Chen. At this moment, the heavenly demonic fiend was frowning in the sky as he looked at the skeleton before him. With the strength of the heavenly demonic fiend, he could naturally see that Lu Chen was not dead, or rather, not completely dead. He could feel that Lu Chen's spirit core was not destroyed. Undead? Lu Chen, I have to say that I really can't see through you. The heavenly demonic fiend snorted coldly. However, even if you're an undead, you can't change your fate. At this moment, the skeleton suddenly changed. From the skeleton's bones, 2 streams of blood slowly flowed out. These 2 streams of blood split into 2, shuttling between the bones like blood vessels. Divine blood demonic seed. The heavenly demonic fiend recognized these 2 streams of blood at a glance. What's going on? In the undead race, when one reached the level of God, they basically had a divine blood demonic seed. It was just that they had never heard of such a phenomenon. Just as everyone was puzzled by the changes in Lu Chen's body, Pangu suddenly exclaimed, "No. This is not an ordinary divine blood demonic seed, this is the origin of the divine blood demonic seed." Nine Nether also quickly thought of something and said, "Now that you mention it, I remember. Lu Chen and his wife relied on the origin of the divine blood demonic seed to reconstruct Lu Chen's body." The heavenly demonic fiend faintly had an ominous premonition and quickly made his move. A stream of saber chi shot out, directly towards Lu Chen, who was undergoing some kind of change. Western Divine Realm. Suddenly, the primordial Buddha pushed out his palms, and a ball of gentle light wrapped around Lu Chen. This was the primordial Buddha's concept-type skill. However, facing the attack of the heavenly demonic fiend, 1 layer of concept-type space was not enough. Myriad Sword Realm. The Wui Sword God made his move and covered Lu Chen with another layer of concept-type space. Everyone, quickly make your move and protect the solipsistic with your life. The Sword God shouted to everyone below. Now it's our turn to protect the solipsistic. Unexpectedly, without waiting for the Sword God to finish speaking, countless people had already made their move. In an instant, countless defensive arrays, spaces, and protective talismans were all added to Lu Chen's body. The people who made their move were not divided by race, realm, age, gender, old, or young. Everyone contributed everything they could. The strong contributed concept-type skills, spiritual shields, and defensive arrays. The weak, such as some earthlings, could only inject spiritual energy. However, regardless of whether they were strong or weak, everyone was giving their all and contributing their strength without holding back. The strong light formed by a large number of skills had already wrapped Lu Chen tightly in a colorful ball of light. Seeing this scene, the woodmanner's Jiu-er's eyes welled up with tears. She had seen big brother Lu Chen being chased by tens of thousands of races. She had seen big brother Lu Chen facing countless attacks alone. However, today, he was no longer facing swords and sabers, but the protection of countless people. He had once made an enemy of the world for his friends, for his family, for his people, and even for those unrelated weak people. Now, tens of thousands of races were spontaneously protecting him. This slash of the heavenly demonic fiend actually did not split open the ball of light. Suddenly, a large number of figures burst out from the ground and blocked the ball of light. Tong Tian was not in a hurry. He looked at the tens of thousands of gods and immortals in front of him with interest and said disdainfully, "Yo, you guys still don't want to give up? Didn't you guys like to kill each other the most? Why are all the races protecting a jackalen who has already been exterminated? Lu Chen has already become like this. Even if he reconstructs his body, he is still not my opponent. If you guys use all your spiritual energy to protect him, then you won't have a chance to escape." A person walked out from the crowd. Yi Fan coldly looked at the heavenly demonic fiend. "If you want to kill my master, you'll have to step over my dead body first." A demon man walked up. "Isn't it just the heavenly demonic fiend? I don't care who you are. My life is my brother's. If you want to kill my brother, you'll have to ask me first." Kong Gu said, "Although I have enmity with Lu Chen, I have to admit that I admire him." Yuanshi Buddha put his palms together and said, "In the heavenly Tao, all living things go with the flow. Only he alone can go against the flow. Don't forget your original intentions, only then can you achieve success. For those who attain the Tao, the heavens will not help them, but all living things will." Chapter 1563. The heavenly demonic fiend sneered, "Can you not make it sound so noble? You only want to save him to survive. Alright, then let me expose your true colors. Let me see how many people are willing to sacrifice their lives to protect that trash under my god-slaying blade." With that, the heavenly demonic fiend raised the god-slaying blade and channeled his spiritual energy. God-slaying blade, God-slaying blade. Thousands of blade auras rushed toward the light ball like an army of thousands of horses. However, in the face of the heavenly demonic fiend's attack, not only did no one escape, but more and more people rushed into the sky and blocked the light ball. The primordial Buddha said loudly, "The will of all races is as strong as a fortress, resisting the demonic fiend." Tianyuan Limitless Array. With the 10 ancient gods taking the lead, countless people poured spiritual energy into the array. Even though they had suffered heavy casualties, the number of people rushing through the portal was also huge, injecting new spiritual energy into the array. The moment the god-slaying blade hit the Tianyuan level 5 array, everyone felt the terrifying attack power of the heavenly demonic fiend. This array can absorb spiritual energy from thousands of miles away, quickly store energy for the array. The primordial Buddha said with difficulty. Seeing that the array was in danger, people from all over Earth, as long as they had the ability to fight, scattered their spiritual energy toward the east without holding back. On the small Earth, countless spiritual threads rushed toward the battlefield from all directions and were absorbed by the Tianyuan level 5 array. The god-slaying blade was powerful, but in the face of the combined defense of 10 billion people, it couldn't break the array in one hit. "Looks like you really want to protect Lu Chen." The heavenly demonic fiend snorted and narrowed his eyes. His eyes were filled with anger. "Alright, since that's the case, I'll kill all of you in one move." Heavenly Tao Dominator skill, Heaven's Destruction. Pangu looked back at the light ball anxiously. In the center of the light ball, the skeleton was already entangled by blood threads, but then, a large amount of blood gushed out from the bones, filling up the thin blood threads. Pangu's eyes widened. What's going on? This blood isn't god blood demonic seed. Logically, the god blood demonic seed's origin blood had completed the reconstruction of his meridians, and Lu Chen should be able to reconstruct his body. But why was there so much other blood? Yes. Nuwa also noticed this. She frowned and said, "It seems to be dragon blood and all creation bloodline." What? Dragon blood and all things bloodline? I can understand the fusion of a demonic seed with a divine bloodline and a dragon bloodline. However, how can it merge with the bloodline of all living things? Pangu exclaimed in shock. Nuwa shook her head. I'm not sure either. I think it might have something to do with Lu Chen's special realm. He didn't cultivate to become a god. Due to the uniqueness of his body, he can naturally accept the transformation of the demonic seed. However, at the same time, because he is also immortal, he can also fuse with the bloodlines of all things. Pangu frowned. After pondering for a moment, he said in a deep voice, "This guy is indeed different from ordinary people. It's not difficult to understand why something special happened to him. However, he actually has the all-creation bloodline. I wonder what this unprecedented fusion means to Lu Chen." The two bloodlines of the god's blood and the devil's blood had already constructed the overall meridian framework, so the fusion of the dragon's blood and the creation's blood was extremely fast. Blood quickly filled his meridians and blood vessels. Following that, his meridians stretched out and muscles grew, rapidly reconstructing his body. At the same time, the killing move of the heavenly demonic fiend arrived. This move, heaven destroying earth, lived up to its name. When this move struck the heaven essence infinite array, countless people spat out blood. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. The array was instantly broken. At the same time, there was still energy remaining. A saber energy shot towards the people in front of the ball of light. Facing the killing move of the heavenly demonic fiend, Yi Fan took a deep breath. His lips curled up and his eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. "I won't let you kill my master. Master, this disciple is unfilial. I won't be able to serve you in the future." After saying this, Yi Fan rushed out. He became one with his sword and roared, "Spirit core self-detonation." Hearing these words, Mulong felt like his heart was being cut by a knife. Everyone knew what the self-detonation of a spirit core meant. However, perhaps this was the only way to block this saber. Yi Fan. As the saber light attacked, Yi Fan was abnormally calm. Actually, he didn't have any regrets. He had already avenged the Yi family. What regrets did he have? Perhaps his only regret was that he wasn't able to repay his master's kindness. If his master hadn't taken him in, he would have already died. He didn't know if the self-detonation of a senior immortal spirit core could block this attack. However, it could at least help his master hold on for a little while longer. "Master, Yi Fan, being able to meet you is my honor." Yi Fan closed his eyes. Yi Fan. Xiao Zhan, Chu Tian, Mysterious Armor King, and the others from the God Devil Immortal Academy were already sobbing. Although they knew that anyone could die in this battle, when the moment truly arrived, they still found it hard to accept. Within Yi Fan's lower abdomen, the light gradually grew larger. It looked like the spirit core was about to explode. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Yi Fan through some unknown method. His back was facing the saber light. Two fingers were pointing at Yi Fan's lower abdomen. Yi Fan suddenly looked up. When he saw the person in front of him, he couldn't help but be shocked, speechless. "Don't speak," that person said indifferently. "I'll suppress the spiritual energy within your spirit core." A warm current instantly entered Yi Fan's body. It quickly helped Yi Fan sort out his spiritual energy. With a boom, the remnant power of the heaven-destroying earth-exterminating spirit core exploded on that person's back. However, he was completely unaware of it. He was only focused on suppressing Yi Fan's spirit core. Not long after, the white light that was about to explode from Yi Fan's lower abdomen abruptly weakened. "Ma master." Yi Fan looked at Lu Chen with incomparable shock. In order to prevent his spirit core from exploding, his master took the heaven-piercing demonic fiend's heaven-destroying earth-exterminating spirit core. Lu Chen raised his head and smiled. "Silly boy. Master said that he would bring you to defy the heavens and change your fate. How could I let your spirit core explode?" Although it was a reprimand, Lu Chen's eyes were filled with affection. He raised his head and looked at the crowd. Here, he saw too many familiar figures. These people were covered in blood. Those with lower strength had already fallen to the ground. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. Those who were still standing here had already exhausted their spiritual energy and their faces were deathly pale. There were even more people who had been affected. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that of the 10 billion people who had attacked, more than 70% had been killed or severely injured by the heaven-piercing demonic fiend's blade. Lu Chen took a deep breath. His gaze fell on the flame demon. "Flame demon, you also came." The flame demon was momentarily stunned. Now wasn't the time to reminisce. He looked at Lu Chen worriedly. "Lu Chen, why you?" Lu Chen's smile was still the same. "Thank you for buying time for me. In order to save my life, billions of people died tragically." Lu Chen closed his eyes. His heart was filled with sorrow. After a long time, Lu Chen finally calmed down. "Leave the rest to me. You all can go and rest." "Lu Chen, are you alright?" Gu Ying looked at Lu Chen worriedly. This guy had just taken a blow that could destroy heaven and earth. "I'm fine." Lu Chen smiled indifferently. Then, he turned around. Only when Lu Chen turned around did people discover that Lu Chen's back did not have the slightest injury. At this time, Lu Chen was in his god form. He had a head of white hair and stood tall. He pointed at the air and stood above the void. The limitless godly demon sword hung beside him. However, looking at the limitless sword, one would discover that the limitless godly demon sword's form had changed slightly from before. Black and white had completely merged into one. How did the limitless sword change? No, it's not just the limitless sword. The feeling that Lu Chen gives people is also different. Pangu said with his eyes wide open. Nine Nether narrowed his eyes slightly. There's a faint feeling of him standing above all things. Could it be? The two looked at each other and said the same four words at the same time. Limitless godly demon. Using himself as a sacrifice, he activated limitless godly demon. Pangu did not dare to believe it. Lu Chen looked indifferently at the heavenly demonic fiend in front of him and slowly said, "Bastard, today, I will tear you into pieces." The heavenly demonic fiend also felt that Lu Chen was different. However, he was still extremely confident in himself. "Ha ha ha, Lu Chen, you are really lucky. No wonder you can reach the 9 heavens. However, in front of me, no matter how tough your life is, you will still die for me." Heavenly Tao sovereign skill, endless destruction. This time, the heavenly demonic fiend used an even stronger move. Lu Chen grabbed the limitless godly demon sword. "Limitless, are you ready?" The limitless godly demon sword hummed slightly, seemingly eager to try. Receiving the response of the limitless godly demon sword, Lu Chen retracted his gaze and stared at the heavenly demonic fiend. With a forceful pull, the limitless godly demon sword actually split into two. Lu Chen's eyes were about to split open as he held the sword with both hands. Heavenly Demon Reversal, Divine Calamity. Heavenly Demon Reversal, 10,000 Demons Purgatory. Chapter 1564. Heavenly Demon Fiend's eyes widened. Demon God defying fate? You got Heavenly Demon God. No, maybe the other possibility was more likely. Lu Chen originally had Heavenly Demon God. Since no one had seen what Heavenly Demon God was, from the other equipment of Demon God defying fate was far beyond the concept of equipment. There was Heavenly Eye, Great Void Arm, Heavenly Demon God's Might, Heart Sutra, Martial Technique. According to this, no one could be sure what Heavenly Demon God was. From Lu Chen's previous performance, he definitely hadn't collected the complete set of Demon God defying fate. In other words, Lu Chen had just died once before activating Heavenly Demon God. You are Heavenly Demon God. Heavenly Demon Fiend finally understood. The death just now had completely activated Heavenly Demon God. At this point, Lu Chen had already collected the complete set of Demon God defying fate. If there was anything Heavenly Demon Fiend was afraid of, it could only be Demon God defying fate. Now that Lu Chen had swung his sword twice, Heavenly Demon Fiend didn't dare to be careless. He gathered all the spiritual energy in his body and roared, "Even if you have Heavenly Demon God, you are still just a trash." Great Sky Technique, Jiutian Sky Slash. The three ultimate skills collided in the air. This time, the explosion shook the entire galaxy. Ultimate Void Guard. In the chaos, Lu Chen roared, and a spirit shield quickly covered the surface of Earth. After another evolution, the Great Void Arm's Void Guard effect was enough to protect the entire Earth. Even though Lu Chen protected Earth in the nick of time, the huge tremor had already caused a terrifying impact. Countless buildings on Earth's surface collapsed. Even the taller buildings weren't spared. Countless places had strong earthquakes of magnitude 10 and above. Monstrous waves rose from the sea, forming an unprecedented terrifying tsunami. Volcanoes erupted at the same time. If it wasn't for the fact that people's physical strength had improved, the entire human race would have been wiped out in this aftermath. In the galaxy, a white light flashed, like a star being destroyed, instantly illuminating the entire galaxy. A moment later, people who had just recovered their sight anxiously looked for something in the sky. As the white light dissipated, the two people in the sky finally came into view. Lu Chen and the Heavenly Demon Fiend were both covered in blood. Their upper bodies were bare, especially Lu Chen. His left arm hung unnaturally at his side. In the battle just now, not only did Lu Chen have to fight with the Heavenly Demonic Fiend, but he also had to withstand the shockwaves from the collision of their moves, causing his injuries to be even more severe. What? This still can't kill the Heavenly Devilish Fiend? Pangu popped out his eyes. God's Grace Catastrophe and 10,000 Devils Purgatory should be the ultimate moves of God and Devil. This Heavenly Demonic Wraith is too strong. Nine Nether couldn't help but sigh. Could it be that even the life-reversing Divine Demon set can't defeat him? I told you that little Lu Chen is too kind. If he didn't protect Earth just now, his arm wouldn't have been crippled at such a critical moment. Nine Nether was, after all, a chaos demon god. His thoughts were definitely different from Pangu's. But no matter what, he still hoped that Lu Chen could defeat the Heavenly Devilish Fiend. The Heavenly Demonic Wraith panted heavily. From the beginning of the battle until now, he had never been in such a sorry state. But this time, he didn't feel angry. Instead, he seemed more and more excited. Life-reversing Divine Demon set is just so. Life-reversing Divine Demon set is just so. Ha 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 ha. Lu Chen. The Heavenly Demonic Wraith raised his head, his eyes full of crazy excitement. I still have to thank you for allowing me to defeat the only thing I am afraid of. Life-reversing Divine Demon set can't do anything to me. In this world, I am the one and only supreme. Ha 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 ha. Lu Chen, you have always been going against heaven, but in the end, you have helped me time and time again. This is heaven's will, do you understand? Seeing that you have done so much, I will give you a super big gift. God's Grace Catastrophe and 10,000 Devils Purgatory are your last trump cards, right? But I haven't used my trump cards yet. Now, I will let you see my strongest skill. You and your so-called friends, your world, will be destroyed together. As he spoke, the heavenly demonic wraith raised his god-slaying extinction blade. However, a strange huge shadow appeared on the blade. This shadow wasn't a blade, but a spear. If one looked carefully, they would discover that the shape of this spear was Tong Tian Tower. Someone recognized it. Everyone looked at the heavenly demonic wraith in horror, their minds buzzing. Only now did they realize that if the heavenly demonic wraith was the manifestation of Tong Tian Tower's consciousness, then his strongest weapon should be his physical body. The heavenly demonic wraith smiled and looked at Lu Chen, who couldn't move an arm. To be honest, I really don't want to kill you. Perhaps I won't be able to find an opponent like you in the future. Unfortunately, compared to an opponent, I prefer the pleasure of destruction. As the last gift, enjoy this ultimate attack. Taking a deep breath, the heavenly demonic wraith's eyes gradually turned cold. His killing intent surged as he roared, "Go to hell." Above the supreme dominator skill, Jiutian. The violent spiritual energy condensed, causing the space around Tong Tian Tower to collapse. For a moment, the sky darkened, and everyone's vision became blurry. They even had the illusion of being able to recognize space. It was as if the sky around Tong Tian Tower was collapsing and distorting. Hope, despair, fear, reluctance, relief, and relief. Indescribable emotions intertwined in everyone's mind. Although Lu Chen had blocked Jiutian's heaven-piercing slash, this move was even more terrifying than Jiutian's heaven-piercing slash. Lu Chen, who had already used his full strength, couldn't use God's calamity and 10,000 devil purgatory to block such a terrifying move. Even fiend gods and fate reversers are unable to defeat Skypiercer Fiend. Lu Chen has already reached the limit. Pangu said gloomily, that Skypiercer Fiend is simply undefeatable. Pangu said so as well, the 10 ancient gods who had passed through the uncontrollable turbulence, and the strongest experts from all sides, had already lost their luster. Ha 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 ha, this is exactly what I want. Heavenly demonic wraith laughed wildly. In front of me, there is no hope. However, at this moment, there was still one person who appeared somewhat different. Lu Chen's eyes widened, and he suddenly shouted loudly, "All living beings of the heavens, are you willing to worship me as the war god? If you are willing, lend me your spiritual energy. I don't care if you are a mortal, a cultivator, an immortal, a god, or an ancient god. Lend me all your strength." Those who had already given up all hope suddenly raised their heads and looked at the white-haired man standing in front of heavenly demonic wraith. At this moment, his face was malevolent, and his eyes were about to split open. Although he was already injured all over, his eyes were still twinkling like stars. In those eyes, people could see something else. Hope. Little Critter was the first to respond to its father's call and contributed all its spiritual energy. Then, Little Furball, Lu Yao, Mu Sheng, Xiao Yuan, Rhubarb, Yi Fan, Kong Gu, Primeval Buddha, Pangu, Nine Nether, Mu Long, Jiu, Gaiing, Yen Mo, Ling Shuang. Countless people contributed all their spiritual energy. Solipsistic, you bastard. Only you can be called the war god in this world. Hong Meng shouted angrily and released all his spiritual energy. Billions of people on Earth, no matter where they were, sat cross-legged and contributed their spiritual energy. In an instant, countless spiritual threads from various planets and even the elite guards from outer space rushed toward this small planet in the Milky Way. After obtaining the heavenly demonic god, Lu Chen's heavenly demonic god's heavenly demonic might had greatly increased, and its range of influence had expanded to the entire Jiutian. Countless spiritual energies converged, and Lu Chen, who had been depleted of spiritual energy, became unprecedentedly powerful. His whole body glowed with a golden light, like a bright sun in the sky, illuminating thousands of miles and breaking through the collapsing world in front of him. The two limitless swords beside him merged into one again. Lu Qin held the heavenly demonic limitless sword in his right hand, and Lu Qin closed his eyes slightly. Ask the heavens what is Tao, and the heavens say, no Tao is Tao. Ask the heavens what is no Tao, and the heavens say, no Tao, no heaven. This was what the Hunyuan heavenly Tao said to Lu Qin when he was guarding the 8th level of the sky-reaching tower. See through all laws and know no Tao, trample through the Jiutian, and there is no heaven. Lu Qin took a deep breath and opened his eyes. Then, Lu Qin's eyes bulged, and he shouted angrily, heavenly demonic god defying fate, no law and no heaven. Chapter 1565. The Jiutian attack from above could only be described as terrifying. However, Lu Qin's figure disappeared. His sword did not even emit a sword light. The incomparably huge skysplit tower phantom was pierced through by something from the top, and the phantom collapsed layer by layer, boom 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 boom. Every layer of the skysplit tower collapsed, causing a loud noise that shook the world. The collapse of every layer triggered the collapse of the surrounding space. In less than half a second, the thousands of meters of skysplit tower phantom was completely destroyed. In the blink of an eye, a figure suddenly appeared 10 meters behind skysplit demon fiend, with his back facing him. In the sky, the skysplit tower phantom turned into ruins and fell down. The space was still collapsing, but there seemed to be no other sound between heaven and earth. After a long time, when the skysplit tower phantom dissipated into spiritual energy and the world returned to normal, only 2 people were left standing back to back. No, impossible. Skysplit demon fiend was still in his sword stance, but his eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. He muttered to himself, impossible, you can't defeat me. Divine Calamity and 10,000 Demons Purgatory are already the strongest moves of demon god defying fate. Where did Lawless come from? Behind him, Lu Qin calmly withdrew his move and said, when the two combine into one, it becomes Lawless. You can't possibly comprehend it in such a short time. Sorry, I just comprehended it. Lu Qin calmly turned around, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Speaking of which, I have to thank you. If not for you, I might not have been able to comprehend the ultimate move of demon god defying fate. You always said that I was helping you, but now it seems that you got it the other way around. Skysplit Demonfian's mouth twitched. So, he was the stepping stone. After waiting for thousands of years, he had actually helped Lu Qin. With a pop, a hole exploded in Skysplit Demonfian's chest, and magma flowed inside. This was Lu Qin's unique move. He integrated the underworld's fire into his attack, burning the enemy's body and spirit core. Skysplit Demon Fiend turned around with difficulty and stared at Lu Qin, but Lu Qin only looked back indifferently. Lu Qin, you. The heavenly demon fiend's breathing quickened. He tried his best to suppress his anger so that it wouldn't affect his wounds. You can't kill me. You're wrong about one thing. Even if I transform, you still can't kill me. If worse comes to worst, I'll just abandon my physical body and live as the consciousness of the Tong Tian Tower once again. I lost to you this time, but I can wait for a few thousand years, or even tens of thousands of years. When I transform again, I will become even stronger. At that time, I will personally tear you into pieces. Lu Qin frowned slightly. Was this guy unkillable? That would be a little troublesome. He didn't seem to have any way to subdue the heavenly demonic fiend's consciousness. How is it? You didn't expect it, right? Ha 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 ha, Lu Qin, I already said that I am the master of Jiutian. Only I can decide the fate of others. It's impossible for you to kill me. When I transform again, I will use 10,000 ways to torture all of your clansmen to death. None of your descendants will be able to escape. I will make them wish they were dead. Ha 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 ha, before Skirich could finish laughing, his vision suddenly turned black, and even his voice became muffled. Ha. This is. Heavenly Demon Fiend looked at the boundless darkness around him and suddenly panicked. Then, his body was pulled downwards by an irresistible force, towards a black hole. Finally, Heavenspan Demonic Fiend seemed to have thought of something and became alarmed all of a sudden. Yes, devour, devour. No, no. Let me out. Lu Chen blinked his eyes and looked at the burping furball. Can you digest this? The little furball shrunk its body and jumped onto Lu Chen's shoulder. It stood up and patted its belly with a face full of confidence. Squeak squeak squeak, squeak 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 squeak. Don't forget that it was a sky-devouring god-slaying rat, which could devour Jiutian. However, digesting the heavenly demonic fiend would take some time. He probably wouldn't need to eat for a few decades. Lu Chen frowned and said, then if he is slowly digested by you, won't he be tortured for decades? The little furball nodded. That was the case. Only then did Lu Chen relax. That's good. Digest it slowly. I said that I would tear him into pieces, and I went back on my word again. You have to help me regain some face. Otherwise, I won't feel good about it. The little furball patted its chest and squeaked. As long as it ate well, it could delay digesting the Heavenspan Demonic Fiend by a few hundred years. Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh and grabbed the little furball in his hand. Little guy, I can't afford to feed you now. You'd better find your own food. But just eat on an uninhabited planet. The group watched Lu Chen and the little furball chatting and laughing, unable to come to their senses for a long time. The Heavenspan Demonic Fiend that was so smug a moment ago was eaten by the little furball in one bite. No, the furball could only be called by Lu Chen. It was a sky-devouring god-slaying rat. As they spoke, Lu Chen suddenly felt dizzy. Little furball, I am a little tired. Before he could finish speaking, Lu Chen fell from the sky. The people on the ground panicked. Quick, catch the mad god. When Lu Chen woke up, he found himself lying in a room in his villa. Only Lu Yi was in the room. Brother, you're awake. When Lu Yi saw Lu Chen open his eyes, she immediately threw herself into Lu Chen's arms and cried non-stop. Brother, you scared me to death, sob sob sob. Lu Chen patted Lu Yi's head. Silly girl, I'm just too tired. I know, but I was just worried about you. Lu Chen sat up with a smile. Did you send me back? Lu Yi nodded. Many people wanted to see you, but I chased them away. You need to rest now. Lu Chen asked around, chased away. Yes, but many people didn't return to Jiutian. They're helping rebuild Earth. Rebuild Earth? Lu Chen scratched his head. Yes, although the battle between you and the heavenly demonic spectre wasn't on the surface, but, the aftershocks were too great. The entire Earth has long been changed beyond recognition. More than 2 floors of buildings around the world have collapsed, the continental plates have shifted, volcanoes have revived, and seawater has flooded coastal cities. Oh, right, the biggest impact is that the moon has been eaten by the furball. This. Lu Chen didn't expect himself to cause such a big mess. They're not here to ask me for compensation, are they? Lu Yi was amused by Lu Chen. Brother, how is that possible? Without you, Earth wouldn't even exist. It's just that every country is planning to rebuild the world. Speaking of which, you left behind a lot of spiritual energy from your battle with Tongtian. Now the spiritual energy on Earth is extremely abundant. Now many countries are supporting the transformation of Earth into a martial arts world. Perhaps this disaster reconstruction is also an opportunity. It's just that after the moon is gone, the natural climate of Earth will be greatly affected. Wuxia's netizens are saying that it's a big loss. There won't even be a Mid-Autumn festival in the future. Lu Chen thought about it and said, this isn't difficult to solve. Tell Li Muhua that when I recover in a few days, I'll give you a moon. Chapter 1566. A few days later, Lu Chen was jumping between the stars with Little Beast and the others. "Dad, how's that planet?" "It's similar to the information you found," Little Beast pointed at a small planet and said. Lu Chen compared some moon data he found on the internet and found that it was roughly the same. It should work. The main function of the moon is to provide gravity and reflect sunlight at night. This can be replaced. Everyone warned Little Furball in unison, "Little Furball, this is the third one. Don't eat it this time." Little Furball nodded seriously and swallowed the planet for the time being. After a few rounds, Lu Chen wrapped the planet in his soul shield and took a group of astronomers to the moon's orbit. According to the moon's orbit time, if the moon was still there, this should be the position now, a scientist from Wuxia said. Lu Chen nodded and asked Little Furball to spit out the planet. "Professor Chen, do you think this planet is okay? The position is correct, right? The mass and density of the planet are almost the same as the original moon. Mad God, where did you find this asteroid?" Lu Chen scratched his head. "I don't remember. Anyway, I went to several galaxies. Anyway, I found it according to the data you gave me. Take a look at the position again." "Wait a moment, Mad God. Let's calculate. It's 21.75 kilometers closer. Okay. Is there any problem with the orbit and rotation?" "Don't worry about that. The mass, density, and volume of this planet are similar to the moon. Under the interaction of gravity and magnetic field, it will soon enter the right orbit." Lu Chen didn't understand these things. Anyway, he just listened to Professor Chen. After some adjustments, the new moon finally returned to its original position. Now the Earth's tides and the planet's orbit can be returned to normal. Professor Chen let out a long sigh of relief. Lu Chen also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was solved. Otherwise, the Earth's climate would change drastically and become unsuitable for human habitation. That would be troublesome. After returning to Earth, Professor Chen saw that Lu Chen was about to leave and quickly walked up to him. "Mad God, can you give me an autograph?" Looking at the pen and paper that Professor Chen handed over, Lu Chen smiled slightly. "Professor Chen, are you a fan of celebrities too?" "I'm not a celebrity." Professor Chen scratched his head in embarrassment. "Mad God, don't be so humble. Of course you're not a celebrity. You're the Jiutian god of war. My whole family, especially my grandson, is your biggest admirer. When he found out that I could see you this time, he was so excited that he didn't sleep for a few days. He insisted that I get your autograph." Lu Chen smiled. "How old is your grandson?" 16 years old. His cultivation aptitude is not very good, but he has been working hard. He has been looking up to you as his role model since he was 10 years old. It was you who gave him motivation." Lu Chen was a little surprised. After thinking about it, he pushed the pen and paper back. Professor Chen was a little embarrassed. It seemed that Mad God didn't want to sign his autograph. Lu Chen took out a badge from his backpack and handed it to Professor Chen. "I don't think it's meaningful to sign anything. Give this to your grandson." When Professor Chen saw what Lu Chen was holding, his hands began to tremble with excitement. This is, there were a few words written on the badge. 9 stars Wild Divine Demon Human Sovereign Realm, variant. Jiutian could only recognize the human sovereign realm at most, and Lu Chen's badge stopped at that level. However, this badge was still unique in the entire Jiutian. As long as this badge was mentioned, everyone would know that this badge belonged to only one person. The Jiutian god of war who defied the heavens and changed his fate as a mortal. This is too precious. Lu Chen smiled and placed the badge in Professor Chen's hands. "This thing is useless to me. I'll have to trouble you with the new moon, Professor Chen. If you need me for anything, call me at any time. After saying that, Lu Chen turned and left. Professor Chen held the badge with both hands and stared blankly at the back of the man who was leaving. Now, that man was standing at the peak of all races. However, if he didn't reveal his identity, who would believe that the Jiutian god of war was so approachable? Mad god, no wonder you have so many good brothers by your side. Professor Chen looked at the badge in his hands with tears in his eyes. Lu Chen didn't go home directly. He was drinking with Balrog, Yi Fan, Mu Long, Guiying, Yu Ming, Withered Claw, Bale Mountain, Cowherd. In short, a large group of people was drinking in a small bar. Lu Chen, Lu Yi said you haven't been home for a few days. Now that the moon matter is settled, why don't you go back? Mu Long asked. The beer on Earth doesn't taste that good. Do you usually drink this? Lu Chen wasn't in the mood to answer about the beer. He held his head with a frown. Guiying shook his head and looked at Lu Chen with an angry expression. You have so many beauties waiting for you at home, and you're drinking here. That's what I'm worried about. Lu Chen held his head. Sigh, to be honest, I'm a person who's good at relationships. It's ridiculous that I'm worried about women. With a pft, Balrog spat out the beer in his mouth. Lu Chen, you still have the nerve to say you're good at relationships? If you're good at relationships, why are you still worrying about it? Balrog shook his head and looked at Lu Chen. Lu Chen also shook his head. Balrog, you don't know how dangerous my family is now. Last time, when I just recovered, those people kept asking me when I was going to get married. Whoever I marry will hurt their hearts. Cowherd asked from the side, Brat, how many lovers do you have? Let me count. Mu Sheng, Leng Noa, Feng Lingzi, Jiu Er, Jingui Yanran, Luo Yao, Ning Shuang, Tian Xin Er, Beishue Qingling, Li Wei, Ling Long, 11. I already said that my master is a Casanova, but you didn't believe me. Now you see it. Yi Fan was very excited. On average, there's more than one in each layer of heaven. Yi Fan, just shut up. The one I admire the most isn't your master, but you. Mu Long couldn't help but say. Hey, did you know? During the battle with the heavenly demon fiend, Lu Chen, didn't you let Yi Fan bet on you winning? Yi Fan raised his head and looked at Mu Long in surprise. Yeah, could it be that this brat bet on me losing? No, he bet on you winning. Mu Long continued, but the Black Armor King changed the rules. The Black Armor King was afraid that Yi Fan's luck would cause you to die, so he made a special rule that there would only be a reward if he guessed wrongly. So, Yi Fan guessed right this time, but he'll still count the money. Lu Chen was speechless. It seemed that the Black Armor King still believed in Yi Fan's luck more. Forget it, this brat's fortune, I'm afraid I won't be able to carry it, Guiying said. Back to the topic, Lu Chen, don't worry about it. You're afraid that someone will be sad. Why don't you just marry them all? Marry them all? Lu Chen frowned. Won't they chop me to death? A woman's jealousy is indeed a little scary, but try it. At most, you can just run. They won't be able to catch you anyway. Lu Chen took a deep breath. It seemed that this was the only way. Chapter 1567. The moon returned to its original position. At night, people could finally see the bright moon above their heads. Under the moonlight, Lu Chen returned to his villa. Lu Chen, do you want me to accompany you? After all, I have some experience in this kind of thing, Mu Long said. Lu Chen looked at Mu Long with disdain. This guy hadn't even settled Feng Wu yet, and he had the nerve to say that. Forget it, I'll solve it myself. Yes, Master will definitely be fine. Yi Fan said with certainty. Master, we'll wait for your good news. Standing in front of the villa and hesitating for a moment, Lu Chen summoned up his courage and walked in. When he pushed the door open, he saw a dozen beauties sitting in the living room. When these beauties turned around to look at the door, Lu Chen was stunned. The women here had different temperaments, but each of them could be said to be a peerless beauty. Their figures, temperaments, and appearances could be said to be perfect. These women had been staying in Lu Chen's house for 2 days and had actually become familiar with each other. When Lu Chen went to find the moon, they were already very familiar with each other. In fact, most of them had a lot of interactions, but their relationship seemed a little complicated. Ling Noa and Feng Lingzi were Quanlongs, and Zhou, Ling Shuang, and Yan Ran were very close to them. Luo Yao was originally the Yao Emperor of the Eastern Peak country, and she had also spent a lot of time with Quanlong, Zhou, and Ling Shuang. Later, she went to the sixth heaven and cultivated in the Immortal Academy. She was then exchanged to the Feng Lai Academy, where she met Li Wei and Tian Xin. Ling Long and Zhou had been together for many years in the ninth heaven and were already like sisters. Mu Sheng had helped Ling Long escape from the myriad world maze and had given her a cultivation method. These layers of relationships made these women seem to have found a confidant. They chatted enthusiastically, and no one noticed that Lu Chen was already standing at the door. "Sister Bone Demon, you should have come earlier." Jiu said angrily, "We discussed it 2 days ago. This time, we can't let him escape." "That's right, you have to give us an answer." Bone Demon was a little embarrassed and whispered, "Brother Lu Chen doesn't seem to like me. I'm an undead. For a long time, Brother Lu Chen saw my true form, it's all right." Mu Xing smiled. "So what if I'm an undead? I'm a tree demon. Don't underestimate a man's tolerance." Bone Demon was here too. And from what they said, it seemed like they were the ones who asked her to come. Lu Chen's mind buzzed. 12. Lu Yi walked in with tea. "Sisters, please drink some water." Jiu pulled Lu Yi over. "Big sister Lu, don't be so busy. You're no longer big brother Lu Chen's battle pet. You have to learn how to fight for your own happiness. It's already the ninth heaven. If big brother Lu Chen doesn't give us an explanation this time, I don't know how long we will have to wait." "Huh? Little Green. Why are they instigating Little Green?" Speaking of which, Little Green had been with him for so long. He was not used to not having her by his side. Lu Yi now had a true form and was no longer trying to be Lu Chen's battle pet. He could consider it, but Xiao Min was his daughter, and Xiao Min was calling Little Green big sister. Wasn't this a little messy? Lu Chen stood at the door without saying a word. He felt like his head was about to explode. Seeing that Little Green had no intention of refusing, that meant there were 13. Lu Chen suddenly regretted it. If he married all of them, he secretly calculated in his mind. 7 days a week, 2 a day. He could only rest for half a day a week. He could only rest for 2 days a month. There were 365 days a year. He could only rest for 24 days. Unknowingly, a few drops of cold sweat appeared on Lu Chen's forehead. But this was not the point. These women were still instigating more people to join. This was the most terrifying thing. Their tolerance was exceptionally good. In terms of realm, there were immortal cultivators, immortals, and gods. Feng Lingzi was the weakest here, but the others did not look at her in a different light. They chatted and laughed with her. In terms of race, there were all kinds of people. Humans, undead, heavenly foxes, tree demons, spirit ghosts, Ling Noa sighed. "Sisters, in the blink of an eye, it has been nearly 100 years. Everyone has waited for so long. These years must have not been easy." These words resonated strongly with these women, and their eyes glistened with tears. Falling in love with Lu Chen was also a misfortune. He had a reason to go to the ninth heaven, but these women chased after him bitterly, only to realize that the gap between them and Lu Chen was getting wider and wider. Perhaps it was because they understood the pain of waiting too well that they saw each other as bosom friends. Luo Yao gritted her teeth and said fiercely, "So this time, we must not let him run away." Cough cough. I am not planning to run away. A voice suddenly sounded at the door. Everyone hurriedly looked at the door and realized that the person they had been waiting for was standing at the door. Lu Chen sighed and walked over. His gaze fell on these peerless beauties one by one. 100 years had passed, but he still remembered every story he had with them. The matter in the ninth heaven is over. I should stop now. Lu Chen smiled. If you don't mind, then. I will marry you. Although it was a bit tiring, everyone here was worthy of Lu Chen's cherish. Tears fell from Jiu Er's bright eyes. She sobbed, "Do you know how long we have been waiting for you to say this?" 3 days later, Lu Chen's wedding. Because Lu Chen had many friends in the fifth heaven, Lu Chen set the wedding banquet on earth. When the news came out, the whole world exploded. Lu Chen's intention was to have a simple wedding banquet and invite some of his close friends. However, on the day of the wedding banquet, the entire Jiang city exploded. Thousands of TV stations were blocked outside the venue of the wedding banquet. However, they were still broadcasting the scene crazily. Ladies and gentlemen, the venue behind you is the venue of Mad God's wedding banquet. Although Jiang City is still in ruins, the lively wedding banquet added to the festive atmosphere. I heard that only 400 people received Mad God's invitation. However, according to the news we received, the portals on Earth have not stopped working since 3 days ago. A large number of people are rushing to Earth. I wonder who will be lucky enough to attend Mad God's wedding banquet today. The bride is welcoming the guests. The 13 brides are so beautiful. Until now, we have not seen Mad God himself. Now that the skyscrapers were gone, the high-end restaurants were gone too. Lu Chen's wedding banquet was held in an open area with tables, chairs, and cutlery. It was like 100-family banquet in a village. Qian Ji shook his head as he placed the cutlery. Looking at the bustling scene, Qian Ji let out a long sigh. Lu Chen, that guy is married. Speaking of which, I'm actually helping out at Lu Chen's wedding banquet. Fate was truly making fools of people. Chapter 1568. Suddenly, Guing looked at Qian Ji curiously. Qian Ji, how did you become like this? Qian Ji raised his head and looked at Guing. Lu Chen gave the Earth Guardian to Yi Fan. Although Qian Ji's body was much weaker than the Earth Guardian, he was more like a normal person now. He actually met someone he knew in the seventh heaven. Guing was also helping out. Seeing that Qian Ji was alone, he came over and asked softly, "Qian Ji, have you been to the ninth heaven?" "Yeah." Qian Ji continued to set the table expressionlessly. Others may be lazy, but he, Qian Ji, would never dare to be lazy. "What's it like over there?" "Nothing much. It's very normal." "Ah. Really?" Guing opened his eyes wide. He was not on the same channel as Qian Ji. Qian Ji, is there a gate in the ninth heaven called the Gate of Heaven? Where does it lead to?" Qian Ji frowned and said impatiently, "How would I know? Anyway, the heavenly demonized spirit is transformed by the creatures that come out of the Gate of Heaven. Doesn't that mean that the other side of the Gate of Heaven is a world that is stronger than the Jiutian?" Guing was excited. "Oh my God, I really want to go to the Jiutian. A world that is stronger than the Jiutian. What kind of world is that? If I could go there and see it, my life would not be in vain." Will Lu Chen go there?" Qian Ji looked at Guing angrily. "I am not a roundworm in Lu Chen's stomach. How would I know? Move aside. If Lu Chen sees this, I will be punished again." Qian Ji walked to another table and started to get busy. After Guing left, Qian Ji had a strange feeling in his heart. They say that the solipsistic spirit is the only person who entered the Jyotian. Wait, I've been there before too. I was at most an immortal. But now, I've been to the Jyotian. Looking at Gu Ying's envious gaze, it feels good. Also, would solipsistic go to the heavenly gate that Gu Ying mentioned? Just when Qian Ji was pondering, the crowd suddenly exclaimed. Lu Chen was back. However, this time, he brought someone back with him. The instigator of Project Mentor, Lu Chen, and Lu Yi's father, Lu Yuan. Grandfather. Lu Yuan looked at the first person who ran over to call him and frowned. I am Lu Shou. Dad's eldest son. Little Beastie introduced itself skillfully and did not forget to call out to its younger siblings. Lu Yao, Lu Min, come here. Lu Chen was speechless at the side. The little critter was really not shy with strangers. Chinner, you already have 3 children. But why are you only getting married now? Lu Chen hesitated for a long time. Dad, it's a little hard to explain. I'll tell you next time. Lu Yi, Gufei, Xiaoyi, come here. Lu Yi's family also walked over. Seeing Lu Yi, Lu Yuan's eyes were already filled with tears. Yi, you've already grown so big, Dad. Lu Yi's eyes were filled with tears. Gufei smiled. Today is Big Brother's big day. Our family has joined forces. Yi, don't cry. Lu Yi nodded heavily. She held back her tears and supported Lu Yuan. The wedding banquet was about to start. Suddenly, auspicious clouds appeared in the sky. One by one, huge figures descended from the clouds. Everyone, this is the descent of the gods. It's the primordial Buddha, Wuyi sword body, Hunyuan heavenly Tao, the ancient gods are here too. And Pangu, Niwa, Joyo, the moment Pangu arrived, he flashed out of the wedding banquet. Lu Chen, you didn't even invite me to your wedding. Joyo followed closely behind. Little Lu Chen, you did not do it properly. It's fine if Pangu didn't invite you, but you didn't invite me, Joyo. We are all chaos spirit cores. We have a lot in common. Joyo, what do you mean? What do you mean by it's fine if you don't invite me? Can he not invite me? I'm his master. Master my ass. How are you his master? I taught him Genesis. Of course, I'm his master. Lu Chen was exasperated. The two of them were arguing again. He hurried over. Can the two of you stop arguing? No, I'm just getting married. I have to go to the turbulent flow to invite both of you seniors. Isn't that making a mountain out of a molehill? The wedding doesn't matter. The key is that you didn't think of me. Pangu said, anyway, hurry up and arrange a place for me. Me too. Don't make me rely on Pangu. Joyo added. Lu Chen held his forehead. Alright. It doesn't matter if there are a few more people. Hurry up and get someone to arrange it. However, the two of them were easy to arrange. The 10 ancient gods were really difficult to handle. With the nightmare taper's size, the only thing that could fit it was probably the furball's stomach. Congratulations, my young friend Lu Chen, the nightmare taper said, we're just here to watch. You don't have to worry about us. Lu Chen was still having a headache about how to arrange the 10 ancient gods when Little Beast ran over again. Dad, give me 20,000 places. Huh? Lu Chen's eyes widened. He had only invited a total of 400 people, but Little Beast wanted 20,000 places the moment it opened its mouth. What do you want 20,000 places for? Little Beast scratched its head in embarrassment. Didn't you say to invite some family members and close friends? Aye. Cough, Rhubarb said calmly from the side, isn't Little Beast's family your family, boss? There aren't many, just 20,000. Lu Chen almost broke down. 20,000. Little Beast chuckled. Dad, don't misunderstand. Actually, I only have around 1,000 wives. However, some of them already have my children, which are your grandchildren. Plus, I have to bring some family members. Sigh, before I know it, there are 24,000 places. Lu Chen held his forehead. When it comes to reproduction, Little Beast is still the best. Dad, my classmate begged me for a long time. He said that he could just watch from the outside. Lu Yao also ran over. Which classmate? Male or female? Female, female. And, why didn't you say so earlier? Then let them in. Lu Chen said. Hun Shi also rushed over from outer space. Lu Chen had to go and greet him again. Following which, Quang Lang's people, representatives of the country of origin, Saintis, Dongyu country's people, Wood Manor's people, National Army's people, group after group came. Moreover, the number of people who came far exceeded the quota that Lu Chen had given them. Seeing that the number of guests had far exceeded their expectations, Lu Chen had no choice but to let Old Hai call the disciples of God Devil Immortal Academy over to help. As a result, there were 10,000 more people. The heads of various countries came one after another. The immortals in the immortal spirit grotto heaven, 8th layer deities, and the number of people at the wedding was completely out of control. Jiao helped Lu Chen wipe the sweat on his forehead and said with a smile, "Hubby, don't worry, it's better to be lively." Hubby? Lu Chen looked at Jiao and couldn't help but smile. This title sounded much more comfortable than Lu Chen's gauge. Hubby. Kong Luo Yao and the others had just finished greeting the guests. When they saw Lu Chen, they all walked over. That old husband must be tired. Drink some water. Lu Yi almost called him boss. Fortunately, she changed her words in time. Looking at these beautiful and gentle wives, Lu Chen also felt that the hard work was worth it. In the end, under the efforts of all parties, the wedding finally went smoothly. Finally, at night, it was time to enter the bridal chamber. In the newly decorated bridal chamber, Lu Chen looked at the 13 delicate brides. Suddenly, he opened the window and shouted outside. Don't think that I don't know you are outside. If you don't leave, there will be no law and no heaven to serve you. There was a commotion. The group of people led by Rhubarb, Little Featherball, Little Yuan, and Little Golden Carp slipped away as if they were fleeing. Lu Chen sensed that no one was squatting in the corner. Finally, he let out a sigh of relief. However, when he turned around, he found that the 13 brides were looking at him. He suddenly panicked. The wedding night was worth 1,000 gold. At such a crucial moment, Lu Chen couldn't favor one and discriminate against the other. Isn't it just 13? Lu Chen let out a low shout. God and demon symbiosis, he activated God form. Time is tight. You all, come together. Chapter 1569. The next morning, Lu Chen woke up early and put on his clothes. He turned around and looked at his sleeping wives. It seemed like they were tired from last night and were now sleeping soundly. Lu Chen did not wake them up and carefully went out. Lu Yi and the rest seemed to know that tonight was destined to be an extraordinary night, so they moved to the villa next door last night. Lu Chen came to their residence and saw Lu Yao sitting alone in the courtyard. Seeing Lu Chen coming over, Lu Yao hurriedly stood up. Dad. Lu Chen smiled. Your female classmate isn't from Earth, right? I saw her yesterday. N. Lu Yao was a little embarrassed. She's a mixed blood. Lu Chen smiled and looked at Lu Yao. You like her? Lu Yao was even more embarrassed. A little, but I don't know if she likes me. Lu Chen smiled and took out 2 sets of clothes from his backpack. This is for you. This is couple set. This is the only set of couple set I know of in Jiutian. Lu Chen said. Anyway, I won't be using it. Lu Yao also understood that this set of clothes was not suitable for any stepmother. Thank you, Dad. Silly child, you're my son. What are you thanking me for? Lu Chen smiled, but then he unconsciously kept his smile. It seemed that he had something on his mind. Dad, do you want to go to the heavenly gate? Lu Yao asked. Lu Chen did not comment. There seems to be an even stronger world outside the heavenly gate, but at this stage, I don't want to go to the heavenly gate anymore. These years, I've given up a lot. I also owe too many people. I want to spend more time with them. To be honest, no matter how many halos Lu Chen had, at least to him, he was not a good father. He spent too little time with his family. Furthermore, even heavenly devil fiends don't dare to enter the heavenly gate. I'm guessing that once we enter the heavenly gate, there will definitely be something we don't know. I've thought about it for a long time. At least, I don't plan to enter the heavenly gate in the near future. Lu Chen patted Lu Yao's shoulder. Yao, let me see if you've improved recently. Lu Yao blinked his eyes. Was his father going to guide him? This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The father and son sparred in the creation space created by Lu Chen. Not long after, Lu Yi, Gu Fei, and Zhu Yi walked out. When Xiao Yi saw her uncle and Lu Yao training, she hurriedly ran over. Uncle, bring me along. Lu Chen smiled. Zhu Yi, come in. Lu Chen did not forget to remind Lu Yi, cook more for lunch. There are many people at home. When Lu Yi saw this, she couldn't help but smile. Lu Yi leaned on Gu Fei's shoulder, her face full of satisfaction. Hubby, my brother shouldn't be leaving for a while. Gu Fei hugged his wife and smiled. Didn't you always tell me that sometimes you wish that big brother wasn't a solipsistic but an ordinary person? Maybe in 10 or 20 years, it's not bad to be an ordinary family. Lu Yi's eyes were filled with tears as she nodded. Perhaps one day, he will set off again to search for a higher peak of martial arts. But at least for now, I don't want him to leave. 3 days later, Lu Chen brought the 5 beasts and quietly returned to the 9th heaven. Standing in front of the huge light gate, Lu Chen looked at it in a daze. What was inside the gate of heaven? What was the world on the other side like? How strong were the experts on the other side? If he went in, what would he encounter? Dad. Little Beast looked at Lu Chen. Do you want to go in? Lu Chen came back to his senses, hesitated for a moment, and shook his head. I won't go in for 20 years. The primordial Buddha gave me the hidden dragon array talisman. Let's seal the gate of heaven first to prevent any changes in the future. Not long after, Lu Chen set up the array talisman. The light gate was directly sealed in the hidden dragon array, and even the light was blocked. However, Lu Chen was still not at ease. After thinking for a while, he raised his hand. The godly demon Limitless sword hung by his side. Limitless, you guard this array. After saying that, Lu Chen waved his hand, and the godly demon Limitless sword shot out and stabbed into the main array core. In this way, with the connection between Lu Chen and the Limitless sword, as long as there was any change here, Lu Chen would be the first to detect it. After everything was settled, Lu Chen stood in front of the 9 portals. There were all portals from the 1st heaven to the 8th heaven here. From the 1st heaven to the 9th heaven, he finally finished walking the Jiutian path, and finally stood at the peak of the Jiutian world. Thinking back to the 1,000 years of cultivation, to Lu Chen, the most fortunate thing was that he had chosen the path he wanted to walk. Either change himself, or change the world. Letting out a long breath, Lu Chen walked into the 9th portal, the portal to Earth. Until Lu Chen's figure disappeared into the portal, the Limitless sword trembled slightly. A voice rang out in the empty 9 heavens domain. Boss, I will wait for you to come back, the end of the book, after finishing the book. When Old Ming wrote the words the end of the book, he suddenly felt a strong sense of loss. This book took me more than a year to write, more than 3 million words. At first, I only wrote an online novel, just like the other books that Old Ming had written, writing every day without stopping. However, gradually, the people in the book came to life. Lu Chen, Little Critter, Yi Fan, Cowherd, Mu Long, Black Armor King, even supporting characters like Qian Ji and Li Muhua, they all had their own personalities and their own consciousness. Just like what Kong Wen said in the assassination novel, perhaps the world in the novel also exists. They exist in another time and space, and they have their own lives, and I am only recording their stories. Now that the book is finished, there are too many things that I am reluctant to part with. However, to the author, it is also a form of relief. Damn, I finally don't have to write every day, I finally don't have to think about the plot every day, I can finally rest, ha 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 ha. I feel a bit deranged, of course, after calming down, Old Ming also knows that this book still has a lot of shortcomings and regrets. However, at least I have fulfilled my promise. I said that I will give everyone a more realistic Jiutian world, and that everyone can follow Lu Chen on adventures, growth, and experiences. I guess I have fulfilled my promise. As for the Gate of Heaven. If some readers think that it is a bad ending, then let me explain. Readers who are familiar with Old Ming will know that I usually don't write too many endings, and leave a trace of hope. Even if this book ends, Lu Chen's journey is not over. He will definitely challenge the Gate of Heaven in the future, and he still has his own life to live. I will leave it to your imagination. In the end, this book has ended, but Old Ming will continue to write new books. I expect to start a new book in May. At that time, I hope that everyone will still remember Old Ming, and Old Ming will continue to work hard to bring everyone a new and exciting, hopefully, story. Finally, thank you for your company. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.